How are you today? Well, I don't see my picture anywhere, but hi. What's watch Genesis 3. The Fall.
You already know who it is, Megan Thee Stallion, and I'm just here to remind you to love on yourself. Do you want to be cheaped up or
Genesis 3 recounts the fall of humanity through our priestly representatives of Adam and Eve. But what exactly happened,
What on
which
earth?
resulted in exile from Eden? Did God place an evil tree in a sacred garden? Is knowledge of good and evil a good thing? There are many interesting concepts that need to be looked at more in depth.
Whoa, what's
The common belief among many people today is that in the garden there were two trees, one being the tree of life, which was good, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which was a bad tree that was placed there. However, this assumption about the second tree results in theological and textual problems. First, the garden is considered to be a sacred space that was ordered properly and represented all that was good. So why would God include an evil tree in the midst? Genesis recounts the fall of humanity through our priestly representatives of Adam and Eve. But what exactly happened which resulted in exile from Eden? Did God place an evil tree in a sacred garden? Isn't knowledge of good and evil a good thing? There are many interesting concepts that need to be looked at more in depth. The common belief among many people today is that in the garden there were two trees, one being the tree of life, good, and the knowledge of good and evil, tree. However, this assumption about the second tree results in theological and textual problems. First, the Garden of Eden was considered to be a sacred space that was ordered properly and represented all that was good. So why would God include an evil tree in the midst of all of this? If Eden was the first temple, nothing should have been included that was not ordered for good.
What day is today? What day is today?
Today is Friday.
12. Hi. 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 Sorry about that. Messed up a bit. But try again.
People today is that in the garden there were two trees, one being the tree of life, which was good, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which was a bad tree that was placed there in order to test Adam and Eve. However, this assumption about the second tree has some theological and textual problems. First, the garden is considered to be a sacred space that was ordered properly and represented all that was good. So why would include an evil tree in the midst of all of this? If Eden was the first temple, nothing should have been that was not ordered for good or that should have caused problems. This would be like including a table with lines of cocaine in your church welcome center. Even if there was a sign that read, "Do not snort," it would seem like an odd addition and represent disorder in a place that was meant to honor God. Second, God never suggests the tree of knowledge of good and evil was an evil tree. In Genesis 3, a woman notes it's in the midst or middle of the garden, meaning it was at the center of the sacred space. You wouldn't put what was evil and displeasing at the center of your temple. Imagine a church putting a statue of Buddha center stage. Such a move would not make sense and would suggest the creators of the church were out of line or corrupt. Because of these issues, it is difficult to suggest that knowledge of good and evil was a bad thing. In fact, it seems the tree was good, along with the tree of life. Knowledge of good and evil is portrayed as a good thing in the Bible. As Kenneth Matthews says, there is no apparent reason why God would have prohibited this. This would imply that perhaps the issue wasn't eating from the tree, but how Adam and Eve went about eating from the tree. Think of how Satan tempted Christ in the wilderness, when he offered him all the kingdoms of the world. What Satan offered Christ was not bad. Paul tells us Christ's rulership over all the kingdoms of the earth began after his resurrection. The temptation Satan offered was to bypass the appropriate and necessary process and seizing them instantly. In other words, the issue was not going about it through God's timing and plan. Sex isn't bad or evil. There is even a graphic book in the Bible about how wonderful sex is. But sex with children is abhorrently wrong. In other words, it's not that we think people should never have sex, but that they should wait until they are mature and committed in a marriage covenant. Likewise, the sin in the garden was not eating from the tree, but eating from the tree of knowledge for the wrong reasons and not according to God's timing and plan. Since the text doesn't imply the tree was evil, there is no reason to suggest that God would never have allowed them to gain this knowledge. In fact, the Bible has several examples of God bestowing wisdom upon people according to his plan and time. The issue was Adam and Eve were not ready for this level of knowledge, and they seized it for personal and selfish gains. This makes far more sense than the idea God placed an evil tree in his sacred garden to test them. As we noted in our previous videos, God's call of humanity was about electing creatures to work with him in bringing cosmos. But this would imply a working relationship where God brings humanity to a more insightful and ethical place. Michael Heiser notes God's goal was to bring humanity into the divine council. So the issue in the garden was Adam and Eve chose to seize control and knowledge for themselves, not trust God to bring this knowledge to them at the appropriate time. John Walton says, by disobediently taking the fruit, they were trying to be like God by positing themselves as the center and source of order. Taking from the tree, Adam and Eve were trying to set themselves up as a satellite center of wisdom apart from God. It is a childish sort of response. I can do it myself, or I want to do it my way. These are not a rejection of authority per se, but an insistence on independence. If humans are to work alongside of God in extending order, they need to attain wisdom as endowment from God, not by seizing it for autonomous use. Their sin was trying to be like God for selfish and prideful reasons, and this can be seen in the first thing Eve says. The Nahash addresses Eve, but uses a plural form for the word you, implying they are both present at this exchange. He asks if they are able to eat of the fruit of the tree in the middle of the sacred space, and Eve gives an odd reply. We may eat of the fruit of the trees in the garden, but God said, You shall not eat of the fruit of the tree that is in the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. There are two things in this statement that are incorrect. First, commentators have noted Eve added to the command of God. God never said they could not touch the tree, only that they could not eat of it. Parallels to this can be seen in the New Testament. Jesus charged the Pharisees with forsaking the law of God for the sake of their own traditions. In other words, the Pharisees added additional traditions to the commands of God because they assumed the additional traditions would aid them in keeping the laws of God. However, Jesus said the additions only caused them to break the laws of God, not aid them like they assumed. Eve had set up her own tradition in order to stay away from the tree. However, this legalistic mindset ultimately led to her downfall. She had trusted in her own traditions to keep her safe. Robert Alter, as many commentators have observed, even enlarges the divine prohibition in another direction, adding a ban on touching to the one on eating. And so perhaps, having touched the fruit and seeing no ill effect, she may proceed to eat. Thus, before even eating of the tree, Adam and Eve had already placed a lack of trust in the word of God to keep them safe, and through pride and arrogance, they'd already begun the fall by placing more trust in their own plan and traditions and the plan of God. The Nahash only exploited this seed of sin that was already growing inside of them. The second issue with the woman's words is she misrepresents God's warning of eating from the tree. God did not say they will die, but that they would be doomed to die. Many translations render this as you shall surely die, but scholars like Robert Alter die more or less captures the warning God gives to Adam in Genesis 2. In other words, eating from the tree would not cause immediate death, but it would eventually result if Adam and Eve ate from this tree without permission. Now it would seem that Nahash corrects Eve in the English, because he repeats back to her that they will not surely die. But this is not really the case. God's statement is an absolute infinitive coupled with a finite verb of the same root. However, the Nahash uses a slightly different construction. In his phrase, the negative participle precedes both verb forms. So the Nahash is more or less saying, don't think that death is such an imminent threat. So in other words, the Nahash doesn't actually lie, but only points out that Eve's belief that they will immediately die is false. The Nahash use of God's words to lead to their downfall. Thus, the Nahash tempted Adam and Eve in a similar way he will later tempt Christ, by offering the fulfillment of God's plan on their own terms through deviant and selfish methods. Although the man of dust failed, the man from heaven did not. Much debate has been given about what the tree specifically did to Adam and Eve. Suggestions range from sexual knowledge, rapid physical maturity, enlarged brains, and many other theories. However, a better understanding can be found by looking at similar gifts God gives in Scripture. In 1 Kings 3, Solomon asks for wisdom from God, but specifically asks that he would have the knowledge to discern between good and evil. This is granted to him, and he becomes a king full of wisdom and understanding beyond measure. Likewise, the tree of knowledge of good and evil likely bestowed of wisdom granted to Solomon. As we noted in our video on Genesis 2, Adam was viewed as a priest king over creation, and like Solomon, God's plan probably would have included bestowing wisdom on the two rulers in Eden, which is why the tree would have been placed there in the first place. This type of divinely bestowed wisdom doesn't mean they did not know what good and evil were prior to taking this gift. It simply means they gained a deeper sense of understanding and a wiser outlook. However, unlike Solomon, Adam and Eve seized this godly wisdom for themselves in a prideful and sinful fashion. This was the sin of Eden, trying to become like God for selfish gains, not for noble or ethical reasons, like with Solomon. Kenneth Matthews says, "It has long been recognized that features of the garden story bear strong resemblance to wisdom literature and themes. The wisdom tradition declares that wisdom is passed by God and is humanity's proper goal of attainment. Proverbs indicates, however, that it must be achieved through fear of the Lord and not through grasping it independently. By obtaining it through disobedience, the first couple express their independence of God and obtain wisdom possessed by God through moral autonomy." Furthermore, Matthews notes similarities to elements of the tabernacle setup in Israel's camp. The two garden trees are comparable to those elements in the tabernacle that represent life and the law of God. The candlestick was shaped like a tree, with branches symbolizing life, giving light to the 12 loaves of bread that represented God's provision for Israel. The commands of God were exemplified by the stone tablets in the Ark of the Covenant. In the same way, the tree of knowledge was indicative of God's commands to be obeyed, lest the curse of disobedience fall upon the lawbreaker. By allusion, Psalm 19:8-10 compares the law with the tree of knowledge and shows that it is superior, providing a knowledge obtained only through revelation. As disobedience meant death in the garden, transgressors of God's law in Israel experienced its deathly consequences. The God of the tabernacle was indeed the God of the garden. And more importantly, as the tabernacle symbolizes the presence of God among his people, the descriptive language of the garden's habitat declares that God is present with the first man. The tabernacle for Israel indicated the place of communion with God, and similarly, it was the garden that God and man first enjoyed that communion. However, the tree not only made them wise, but also shameful. In obtaining wisdom of good and evil, their eyes would have been open to the sin they just committed and why it was wrong. A childlike trust in God would have been lost, that is later called for by Christ for all people to have regardless of age. Adam and Eve forsook this trust and dependence on God, and shame would have resulted, and thus the feeling of nakedness internally and externally came about. Throughout the Bible, nakedness refers to a feeling of being exposed and shameful. Walter Vogel states, "The primary significance of nudity is not sexual. Nudity refers to poverty, weakness, and human limitations. To be nude before someone indicates that you have nothing to hide, that you are showing yourself as you are." Stephen Lambden agrees. Since nakedness in the Bible usually refers to the loss of human and social dignity, the primordial nakedness and unashamedness most probably indicates that human relationships were originally characterized by innocence and mutual trust and respect before God. Numerous biblical passages support this reading. Isaiah 4 says Babylon shall be disgraced for all to see, and this means her nakedness shall be uncovered. Leviticus 18 refers to uncovering nakedness as disgraceful and shameful sexual acts. Habakkuk 2:15 says the Chaldeans intentionally get people drunk to stare at their nakedness, which refers to watching drunkards act shamefully while they are inebriated. And interestingly, Hebrews 4:13 refers to God's omniscience by saying all creatures are naked and exposed to him, implying sin cannot be hidden from God. Likewise, the feeling of nakedness in the garden probably more broadly refers to the shame of their sin. Yet there is no issue in believing they literally also felt the need to cover themselves with clothes. This can be seen in how Adam and Eve follow this act by hiding themselves directly from God. If the whole issue is just realizing they needed clothes and not the shame of sin, after they sewed fig leaves for loincloths, they should not have felt the need to hide themselves from God. The internal feeling of shame often makes people feel the need to hide and cover themselves externally. Thus, the need to cover themselves and hide would be a natural response to feeling the regret and shame of their sin. What then follows is given by God for their attrition. These have often been misunderstood to seem harsher than what is actually stated. Much of what is spoken by God is simply a natural result of their sin. It should also be noted, the curses probably do not apply to every man or woman, as not every man has worked the ground and not every woman has borne children. Just like the curses placed on the Nahash only apply to that being, these are probably only directed at Adam and Eve. First, to the woman, her pain will be multiplied in childbearing, her desire shall be towards her husband, but he will rule over her. This word for pain is a noun, and the verbal root occurs numerous times to refer to grief, anxiety, not physical labor pains. Also, the Hebrew word for childbearing more refers to conception. So the text refers to conception anxiety, not the idea the pain of the human birthing process was multiplied, and that it was pain-free prior to the fall. Living in a fallen state without God's perfect order will cause more worry and anxiety over children and the future of what that will bring. Next, this term for desire has shown to be extremely controversial. It only shows up 3 times in the Hebrew Bible, and there is no common usage between all 3. However, John Walton argues it simply refers to basic instinct or nature, and it should be understood with the prior statements regarding conception. Basically, in the woman's fallen state, conception will greatly increase anxiety, but she will still have a natural or instinctive desire to have children. So her desire to have children will be for her husband, since she will need her husband to produce them, and that naturally will result in dominance. To better explain this, Herbert Brichto says, the basic idea here is that the woman's desire, which renders her dependent, is traceable to her need to fulfill her maternal instinct. For now, let us recall what sociologists have called the principle of lesser or least interest. In a relationship involving 2 partners, the one with the greater need of the other is the more vulnerable, while the one with the lesser interest in the relationship is in a position of dominance. So what verse 16 is saying is a woman will be in a fallen state. Her anxiety over her children and their future conditions will increase, which the principle of least interest in sociology states will mean her husband will rule over her, as her maternal instincts will result in there being more vulnerability in the relationship. In other words, the fallen state they chose comes with consequences. It says the ground is in thorns and thistles bring forth. In order to obtain bread, there will be hard labor, and through all of that, death will eventually come. First, to curse something does not necessarily mean to physically or magically change it. It is the opposite of the Hebrew word to bless, which means to put someone or something under God's protection. With that in mind, cursing does not mean to put a hex on something. So by God cursing the ground, he is simply removing his protection in favor over it. Now that man has decided they want to rule instead of God, he will remove his blessing on the ground, and outside of the garden, food will be harder to obtain. This verse does not suggest that thorns and thistles did not exist prior to the fall, only that without the blessing of God on the land, it will not be in perfect harmony, and the ground that man works outside of the garden will have to deal with weeds and harsh plants, something that would have been absent in a garden run by God. John Walton says, as a result of the ground being removed from God's favor, protection, and blessing, it will yield its produce only through hard labor. The word the NIV translates painful toil is the same word used in the first line of 3:16 that was interpreted above as anguish. The impact of this curse is that though food is still available to people, it will be much harder to produce it. It should also be noted that Adam seems to suggest that God was merciful on them. Joshua John Van E says, it is best to say that God was merciful. He does not bring about the threatened judgment on the man and the woman, a restrained Hebrew Bible. Such an understanding would also explain Adam's reaction to God's curses. He named his wife Eve, meaning life. Adam understood he had received mercy. In other words, Adam named his wife because their lives were spared. Although they were still doomed to die, as God warned, they were not immediately sentenced to death, as they originally assumed in the beginning of the chapter. Some suggest this verse proves Eve is the mother of all humans, and that there could not have been any other humans alive then. But this is unlikely, given what we went over in Genesis 2, and the phrase mother of all living in no way can be understood to be literal. Eve is neither of all the animals or Adam. Also in Genesis 4 it reads, Ada bore Jabal. He was the father of those who dwell in tents and have livestock. His brother was Jubal. He is the father of all those who play the lyre and pipe. In Note 2, literally the father of every single person who has one emotions. Being the mother of all living is simply assigning Eve a special place as a leading figure among all life, and she should be looked to as a guiding role. In conjunction with this, a lot of people have argued the sin of Adam and Eve resulted with physical death, entering the world for the first time, by drawing on Romans 5:12. Therefore, just as sin came into the world through one man and through sin, and so death spread to all men because all sinned. But this doesn't make sense with the context. Just after this, Paul says the death he is talking about reigned from Adam to Moses. Okay, this cannot be physical death, because people still died after Moses and still die today. In verse 17 and 18, Paul contrasts life and death with condemnation and the grace found in Christ. So it should be obvious, Paul is referring to spiritual death, not the first physical death entered the world. Moses was seen as the one who brought God's people back into his presence within a sacred space called the Promised Land. In Eden, mankind was exiled from God's presence and received condemnation or spiritual death. Moses was seen as the one who ended this and brought humanity back into a special covenant with God, where people could approach his like in Eden. Romans 5 is simply highlighting this, talking about spiritual death, not physical. This correlates with what happens in Genesis 3. Adam and Eve's bodies are not cursed or changed from immortal to mortal. All that happens is they are exiled, so they cannot gain access to the tree of life. Their sin results in all humanity being estranged from God, as until Moses, we did not have a priest to mediate for us. And this also shows eternal life was obtained by eating from the tree of life. Death would naturally result without it, implying Adam and Eve were already mortal. Their sentence dooms them to die away from life and the presence of God. However, it should also be noted that God's act of exiling them from Eden doesn't mean he has fully abandoned them. Genesis 4 notes their sons are still sacrificing to God and communing with him, although probably not as easily as it would have been in Eden. The text of Genesis 3 reads that Adam named his wife, noting God was merciful on them. Then this is followed by the text saying God clothed them with garments of skin. Clothing someone is a ritualistic act of covering them in protection. Priests and kings were given special garments in installation ceremonies. Joseph was both clothed by his father with a special coat and clothed by Pharaoh, appointed to high office, to show special favor. However, in contrast, Adam and Eve are actually demoted when they are clothed, as they can no longer commune with God in the garden. But the clothing process should be seen as God is still covering them and allowing them to keep a modified priestly role. Grace has been given to them, despite their act of rejecting God's role as head over their lives. Walton says, this should probably be seen as an act of grace by God, preparing them for a more difficult environment he is sending them into, providing a remedy for their newly developed shame. Insofar animal death is likely in the system, there is nothing unusual about using animal skin for a garment. Finally, sentence is passed on. Humans are exiled from the garden because they are unworthy worthy to keep eating from the tree of life to maintain immortality. Adam and Eve have demonstrated what they desire is to selfishly rule and use the gifts of God for personal advantages. Allowing them to remain in control would mean these seeds of their pride and sin would only live forever alongside them. God sends them out to learn the consequences of their actions and what self-centeredness will do to humanity. The harsh truth of life without God's lordship must be realized to its full extent if any of humanity is to be saved. Thus, Adam and Eve will be sent out to do as they already wanted, to be the center of wisdom and order for the cosmos. Instead of taking God's route, they will learn what the knowledge of good and evil are, to their full extent, through experience, instead of through God's wisdom. But despite the belief it was better for them to grasp wisdom on their own terms, things are about to get much worse. Humanity begins to descend into disorder, having craved knowledge on their own terms, instead of letting the fear of the Lord be the beginning of wisdom. The beginnings of these effects are carried out in Genesis 4.
And the Raptor cake. Now, how about something to put a smile on your face?
Is the red heifer prophecy, and is it an end time sign? There's a lot of chatter going on TikTok right now about these red heifers, that is female cows, which are in Israel right now, and a plan to be sacrificed to initiate the third temple. Is it a sign of the return of Jesus? I'm going to look at this from a biblical perspective to see if this is true. Make sure you watch to the end. Ever since 5 red heifers got transferred from Texas to Israel in 2022, people have been wondering if the red heifer prophecy fulfilled. Problem is, there is no red heifer prophecy in the Bible. Red heifers are mentioned in the Bible. In Numbers 19, there was a command from God to Moses to bring a red heifer, and these were taken outside the camp and slaughtered, and the ashes of the animal would be kept for the water for purification. But it appears to be a one-time sacrifice, not one needed to be done every single year, like other sacrifices in the law of Moses. And there was no prophecy in the Bible saying it would need to happen again in the future, and so it's not a prophecy. Now, it's also interesting to note that when the first and second temples were built, it doesn't record any red heifers being sacrificed. But where prophecy comes into it is that many people believe that Jesus will not return until the third temple is built and the animal sacrifices all restart. The first temple, called Solomon's Temple, got destroyed by the Babylonians in 586 BC. The second temple, called Herod's Temple, got destroyed in 70 AD, came in and destroyed Jerusalem, as predicted by Jesus in Matthew 24, as a judgment against them for their rejection of the Messiah. And at the very spot where the temple was in Jerusalem sits now the Dome of the Rock, which is an Islamic shrine of great importance to the Islamic world, and that is why the Jewish people have not been able to rebuild the temple ever since. But many Christians do think that the third temple does need to be rebuilt before Christ returns, and they get this from 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 4, which speaks about the man of lawlessness, aka the Antichrist, taking his seat in the temple of God, proclaiming himself to be God before Christ's return. But in the New Testament, for Christians, the temple starts fading into less significance due to the fact that there is no need for any more animal sacrifices. Christ was the once for all sacrifice. There needs to be no more. Paul speaks about our body being the temple of the Holy Spirit, and he speaks about the church, not the building, the people across the world who believe in Jesus, collectively being the temple. The Antichrist taking his seat in the temple of God can simply refer to a position of authority within the church rather than a physical building in Jerusalem. So there doesn't actually have to be a third temple built before Jesus can return. Some Christians have been pushing for the temple to be rebuilt, but that isn't what we want. We don't want animal sacrifices to be restarted. Hebrews 10:4 says, "The blood of bulls and goats can never pay for your sins. Neither do we want red heifers to be sacrificed." The red heifer in the Old Testament had to be without defect, no blemishes, on which no yoke has ever come, had to be sacrificed outside the camp.
Gangster Ghost.
Hi, Aiden.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are
How are you
you?
today? I'm good. Yeah. I need to tell you, it was funny the other night. Last night, when Lupin started talking about Father Charles, even that same video, he was so
Well, he
up his
he said in that he was like, "Oh, I'll bet you money that Father Charles is gonna insult me first. We'll see who insults who first." And Father Charles and Claude start having a conversation, and as soon as Lupin knows that it's not gonna go towards drama, he's like, "Well, I'm out of here. Bye, Missing Mo." Oh, it's so he makes it so easy.
Yeah. But I didn't like the way he was so mean to Father
He was
Charles.
trying really, really, really hard to provoke a strong reaction out of Father Charles, and thankfully he didn't bite. You know, he didn't take the bait, so to speak. And I mean, that's not surprising, honestly. I mean, he's far older than Lupin. He knows the tricks of the trade, so to speak, and he's probably encountered many a man in the age of Lupin who's tried to provoke a reaction out of him. So it's not surprising that it didn't work. It's just, I mean, like, he got so desperate that he started saying, "Oh, you're old, you're gonna die soon." And he tried, like, almost like using that as evidence that he was a fake priest. It's like, what? He kept asking for proof that he was a fake priest, and of course he doesn't have any proof, so the only resort he has left to do is, "Oh, well, it speaks for itself, it speaks for itself." It's like, really, does it? Because it doesn't seem to speak for itself for the vast majority of people that have known Father Charles for some reason.
It was crazy.
I'd like to see this guy and Mark Reed debate. I haven't seen too much Michael Jones content, so yeah.
Oh, this guy's not.
Is this not Michael Jones? I thought that you were watching Michael Jones earlier.
Earlier, but Mark sent me a link to this guy's show. He talked about why the world effort's not the end of the world.
Yeah. As soon as Claude redirected the conversation away from Lupin's vitriolic rant, he was completely disarmed and incapable of doing anything remotely offensive. So he left. Lupin pooping as usual. Yeah, that hits the nail on the head, Mark. If he can't stir the pot, he can't create a big cesspool of garbage, basically, then he's not interested in participating. You know, he wants his show to be free of any of that, but he wants to try and add as much to that as to any show that he possibly can. That's his objective. I've said this for months now. Lupin's objective going into any room is just trying to derail it and trying to make it go his way. And it very, I can't even say it very rarely works, because I can't think of a single time that it has worked. Like, he's never come out on top, so to speak, in any of these encounters. It always blows up in his face.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, it was crazy that I like.
At a certain point, you've just got to wonder, like, is he just, like, does he enjoy self-flagellation? Like, does he have a hair shirt that we don't know about or something like that? Because it almost seems like he enjoys the pain at this point of being made a fool.
Yeah, it was a bit funny. I see it on his face. It looked like around his eyes. It was no sun. But all around it.
Yeah, the shades, the Brett Keane shades were able to save his eyes, but nothing else. I'm telling you, man, he's just Brett Keane younger. He really is. Like, he's willing to stoop to any level necessary in order to try and get one over on somebody. You know, he doesn't actually know anything about Christianity, but pretends like he's this deep-seated Christian. Has all these Bible studies, quote-unquote, that just devolve into him bitching and complaining about us, basically, and everything that we do. Yeah, it's Brett Keane when in his 20s. It really is.
The first part of that, he was talking about atheism, communism, or something, trying to destroy the world. And then the second part, he start talking about Father Charles.
Yeah, him and Stump basically had a little sewing circle where they bitched and complained about it. And Hip Hop sat there, of course. It didn't do anything as usual. But Stump, he actually had a part of that video that maybe at some point we could review. Unless you want to keep reviewing this. We could keep reviewing this if you want.
We could review that.
No, it's up to you. It's your show, buddy.
Yeah, I like to review that.
Okay, so
The
it's
we talked about
it's the one that Lupin did on his show yesterday.
I have two parts. The one where he's talking about Father Charles part, or the atheism part. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I've got the part where he talks about Father Charles. It's at about 1 hour 10 minutes.
Yeah, I got it.
All right, and we're back. I'm not sure if my guests are back yet, but
I'm here. That was an interesting way to handle the intermission.
like I said, I'm I'm here.
Like always, if you need to say something, you just say pause.
Oh, I was thinking,
I'm
could
human.
we skip to an hour? Could we skip to about 1 hour and 10 minutes, because that's the part I was looking to review.
Oh, the one where he's talking about Father Charles.
Yeah. I don't need to hear his jibber jabber about atheism and communism and all that nonsense.
I broke up into two parts. One about the atheism. This one's about Father Charles.
Oh, okay. This is about Father Charles. Okay. Yeah. I really don't need to hear the same tired talking points about atheism that I've heard him repeat already.
Oh, Mark was there. Tom disagreeing with him in the comments.
I'm surprised he was allowed there to disagree.
Yeah. Thank Aiden for the service. Thank you. Still not scooting.
Thanks, Aiden, for the service. Thank you. Oh, yeah, no problem. Especially if you're volunteering to go and do something like that, it's no small thing. So,
Well, what
thank
happened?
you for your service. I was thanking Scott Kettle for his service in the Home Guard. Thank you, Sid. It's much appreciated. Anybody that takes any kind of military service is somebody that needs a lot of respect, because it's not an easy position to occupy. So, thank you. Let's get going with this, though.
Interesting, because a lot of this artwork is probably coming from a Catholic, but we're about to get into a little bit of Catholicism here, and like I said, the internet's going to be kind of a big theme in this area. So yeah, like I said, I mean, different for me. Like whenever the internet came about, and it for me, it's very personal to me. It's probably personal to every person that has been born alive while I'm alive. You know, like to be born in this time.
In your generation.
In my generation, yeah, because it was just like, okay, boom, I get born, and then we're barely getting, past like telecommunications, communications getting more widespread.
What?
There's faxes machines.
Wait. Is he trying to act like wait, pause. I'm sure he means cell phones, but yeah, telecommunications were around like a little bit under 100 years before you were around, Lupin. Maybe you meant cell phones, but just based off what you said as far as telecommunications, not a new thing. Fax machines, you're not old enough for the fax machine to have just come out when you were born, Lupin. You have no idea when the fax machine came out. Oh well, Lupin's technologically illiterate and historically illiterate. I, for one, am shocked. Let's keep going.
Skyrocket, like instant information and everything. And, for the atheists to like kind of deny some of these things, it's got a lot to do with, I think, like you guys said, it's a lot of pride and everything. Another thing that I was kind of, it was just strange, and I'll be honest with you guys. Today the flesh kind of won, and I kind of went off on a certain person on another channel because I kind of just I lost it. I had it up to a year.
See,
and I lost it.
See, look at this. Look at this. Pause. this absolute false humility, refuses to actually go into detail about anything, refuses to name any names as far as who was involved, who he went off on, why he went off on them, what was said. Like this absolute bare bones, not even thin gruel, the little bit of slush that you get on top of the thin gruel. That's about as deep as an apology or repentance that was from Lupin. Because when you just outline the vague details of things and don't really actually have to get into detail, like, you know, you really don't have to take any serious responsibility. And will his brothers in Christ, you know, try to hold him to any kind of account here? No, of course they won't. They'll just brush it past and they'll say, "Oh, that was really humble of you, brother, that you were willing to say something like that, even though it's not far from the very first time that you made an ass of yourself on the live stream." But anyways, let's keep going.
It's kind of like it was kind of like, I don't know. He kind of had it coming, you know.
Well, it was even less of a repentance than I thought it was. He had it coming. He had it coming. Give his initials at least. Oh my God, what are we in middle school? Give his initials at least. That's literally something that I would hear somebody say at a middle school table. Like while I'm eating my Lunchable in 7th grade, and my one friend was able to afford the cafeteria pizza, you know, I lean over and I ask about the girl that's, you know, just come into class. Can you name her initials at least? That's where I would hear something like that. I wouldn't imagine that coming out of a 60-year-old man. But hey, I guess it would come out of a 60-year-old man if they never mentally matured. So, Father Charles in the chat. Hello, Father Charles. You can come on the show if you would like. It would actually be kind of fun to have you on the show, especially considering who he's talking about, the person who shall not be named.
It is crazy.
Let's hear these initials. Let's hear them.
Come on now.
I don't even know him. Like, is that I can give you like his.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
FC.
Ha! Father. Wait.
Somebody we all.
Why'd you put father as one of his initials? He's not a father, though. I thought he was a fake priest, Lupin. But you don't actually know his first name, do you? Because you don't know anything about Charles. You don't know that Charles is his first name. It's out there. Father Charles Official is out there in the chat. It's not like it's some esoteric knowledge that nobody knows about. But you don't take the time to know it because you don't give a shit, Lupin. You don't care. You don't care about any of the actual information regarding any of these people. That doesn't matter to you. What matters is trying to get one over on these people because you're a piece of garbage.
He's a crazy guy. Well,
Seriously, I'm about done mixing words with this waste of space.
He's a crazy guy. Sing his famous song. Lupin, Lupin, he takes a poo on you. Lupin, Oh, sorry. Want me?
I was giving you a moment for your solo. I'm sorry. I figured I'd give you room to breathe there. No, yeah, we can keep going with the video.
Okay.
And
I know who it is. I know.
Yeah, so
I know who it is. I'm just, you know.
But yeah, you know, I can understand being
these backbiting pieces of garbage
in the 80s and the 90s, and understand being born and being probably Catholicism is probably one of the greatest, one of the largest.
Listen, Lupin.
During that
hey, Lupin. Pause. Hey, Lupin. I don't know if you realize this, because it's kind of been explained maybe once or twice or 4 or 5 or 6 times. I know that things need to be explained to you over and over again because you're so intentionally obtuse that you need to wait until it's literally irrefutable that you know these things until you can pretend like you don't know them anymore. But Catholicism and Orthodoxy are actually different things. Actually different. They're different denominations. And I know that you're using Catholicism here because you're very, very weak thin gruel level knowledge of Catholicism is about all that you've got equipped as far as trying to understand Father Charles' denomination, but it's not Catholicism. You could go and learn about Orthodoxy if you want, do what I did, Lupin. You could read about Orthodoxy, and you could read about the Church Fathers, and you could read about the ecumenical councils, and you can read about the saints, and you can read about all the different conflicts that happen within the church, old calendar versus new calendar, all of those things. You could go and actually take the time to read about them, but you don't give a shit. You never have. You've never taken the time to actually learn about any of this. You've never picked up a book and actually tried to get knowledgeable about any of this crap. You just figure that your surface level knowledge is sufficient enough for you to be able to dismantle somebody's decades of work in the church. And it's going about as well as you would expect it to under those circumstances. What a sad, infantile attempt of trying to strip this person of any credibility. It's pathetic, is really what it is, more than anything else. This is just him sitting in his little hug box, safe space, where there's no actual criticism of any sort, where he doesn't have to be held to any kind of account. And look at him, he's loving it. He's loving it. He's reveling in it. He's like a pig in shit right now. I'm sorry if I'm swearing a little bit, gangster. If you want me to stop, then I will. But I'm done with this guy. I really am. I'm done with putting up with his crap. Tired of pretending like he's anything less than an absolute waste of space. Keep going.
Yeah, it used to be even more influential in everything.
Yeah, and now it's like with the internet and the information and the technology within the TVs and everything that has been exposed. Now, look, I cannot sit here and completely say, and I am not saying that Catholics are bad people, anything like this. The parishioners, actually, they have done a tremendous amount of good for Christianity. They've been a very powerful influence to Christianity.
How are they so influential, Lupin?
The esoteric
how did the pause? The esoteric side. Esoteric. So once again, using another word that Lupin doesn't know anything about. Esoteric is a word that means obscure. It means hard to get at. It means only known by a few people. Catholicism would be the opposite of esotericism, because Catholicism is an institution that spread the gospel to more people than any other institution on the earth. You could actually, like this idea of esotericism could actually work better with Orthodoxy than Catholicism, because not a lot of people in the West know about Orthodoxy in comparison to Catholicism. So maybe, just maybe, that word that you use that you yet again don't understand because it can't be filtered through your pea brain, Lupin, would have been better used if you actually used it in response to Father Charles' actual denomination.
I don't get why people can't accept that he's not Catholic. They want to see he's Catholic.
It's the same thing as Christian with evolution. It's purposeful. They're not doing it on accident. It's not an honest mistake anymore. It's purposeful it's willful obscurantism is what it's called. Willful obscurantism is when you purposefully go out of your way to not learn something and not know about something, because you know on a subconscious level that thing will weaken your argument and will help to dismantle your point of view. And you know who does that? Charlatans and weak people. Those are the people that run away from knowledge because they think that it's just going to harm their ideas, not realizing that if only they actually find that knowledge and pursue it to its fullest extent, that maybe it will actually help their cause. But no, they can't even take the risk of finding out new things. They can't even take the risk of learning new things, because maybe, just maybe, it might hurt their ideology. It's so tiresome dealing with people like that.
Brother Pike show last night?
I did see Brother Pike's show, and I had a lot of fun with Brother Pike's show. I'm sure it's not going to help in the long term as far as dissuading people from this false idea that Christian just is a full dyed-in-the-wool Darwinian evolutionist, but yeah, I hopefully it will. You know, I have high hopes that it might help, but
It will be the same time when people stop thinking Father Charles the Catholic.
yeah, at about that same time, you're right. Here, my bus is here. I'm gonna hop on. Just give me 1 second. Keep playing the video while I hop on.
Okay.
You know, like in the parishioners.
The
But- exoteric. So okay, what? Okay, but yeah, on the you know, the average Catholic is generally
Once again,
a good
using
person,
words he has no
good
idea what they
Christian,
mean. Big
Bible
surprise.
believing person.
Esoteric. What a dunce. Esoteric.
But
It was so funny.
With his sunburn, yeah. That sunscreen might be a little esoteric to Lupin. He might not know about it. He might think that it's esoteric because he doesn't personally know about it. Oh my goodness, Mr. Stoney, welcome to the room.
I am here,
Mark.
but in full disclosure, I'm a little bit preoccupied with cleaning, but I wanted to come and show some support for Father Chuck and for Gangster.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're a good young man. I'm proud.
I'm here to do the same thing that I've been doing for like 2 years at this point, which is give these quote-unquote Christians better understanding of their own religion from an atheist. It's quite fun. It's quite a fun little subgenre of my life. I enjoy it quite a bit.
Are you on the bus right now? Oh, okay.
Bus. Sorry, I'm mute.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just curious. I thought I heard the whir of the electric motors.
Aiden and the bus go round
Yes.
and round.
Round and round, round and round.
Aiden on the bus goes round and round all through the town.
What do you think of this video so far? A little bit
Alright, let's keep going.
Yeah, let's keep rolling with it.
and maybe I gotta give this. That's why I mean I even give this person grace, even though I went off on him. What? Was trying to make it sound like
he gave them grace.
That's grace. That's grace.
That's grace.
Well, I mean, Chuck didn't come into the conversation extending an olive branch toward Lupin, saying, "Hey,
Multiple
can we
times.
let bygones be bygones and move forward with our casual friendship." And Lupin wouldn't have it. So, if that's grace, then I'm a monkey's uncle.
Yeah, Grace isn't actually trying to make amends with people and trying to move forward with it. And you know, his whole angle on that was, well, Father Charles kept insulting me after I started insulting him first. Therefore, his extension of the olive branch was false. It's like, okay, let's get this straight. So he was supposed to sit there and take your garbage after extending that olive branch, not say anything in return whatsoever, and just let you pollute the show with your nonsense unadulterated after extending an olive branch to you. No, that's not what's going to happen. But it's a classic example of him trying to take advantage of people's goodwill and trying to exploit that to their own end, rather than, rather than actually extending that goodwill themselves. And I mean, he does that all the time. He does that every time that he exploits Gangster Ghost's kindness by allowing him on his show. He does it every time he exploits Father Chuck's kindness by allowing him on his show. Like, he objectively is treated much better in these communities than anybody is treated in his community, but he somehow wants to act like he's this horrible victim.
Aw, poor Lupin.
Lupin Tupins. Got sunburnt like Lupins.
So is he sunburned?
He is.
Oh boy.
See
Yeah,
around his eyes?
He's got a real bad
much.
First time outside white boy burn right there is what I call that.
Oh wow, he really does.
No, he does. It's quite bad.
Yikes.
I mean, I burn pretty easily, but I'm not quite that bad when I'm sunburned. I'm not quite that lobsterish.
Sunscreen is a thing, and I highly recommend it.
Excuse me, sir. Can I talk to you?
like I'm anti-Catholic. I'm not anti-Catholic. It's just I don't understand how you. And this is going to be part of the plan, I would imagine, because Catholicism, the Vatican, a lot of that is probably going to be playing a big role in the end times.
No doubt.
How?
But yeah, to be born in this generation and see all these things that the Catholics have done, man, dude, it's just hard. It's hard to wrap my head around why,
Anything.
why even
Literally
choose
anything.
that.
He's a funny guy.
Like,
I will say this. I know that I think I understand what you're saying, and I've had to come to terms with this because it is like you say. I did not. I mean, a lot of the people in my family were Catholics at some point in time, and I know they were good Christians. Many of them were very good Christians. On the parishioner side, on the exoteric side, the problem is the esoteric side, the insiders, and for a long time I struggled with that. And like what you were saying, Lupin, is once we got into the modern times where information was so easily
Accessible.
available to us, accessible and available to us, then I started understanding. I started understanding what the word apostasy meant when Paul explained it. Okay, because Paul explained it. It's called apostasy. Apostasy covers the esoteric and the exoteric. Okay, that's what apostasy covers. Apostasy covers both of those angles. All right, and once I started digging into historic facts, historic documents, historic events, then all of a sudden I started seeing the lie. I started seeing the deception. Okay, the apostasy. Okay, and that's where it gets a little difficult. But in the end, we're not called to necessarily either be like pointing all the time or accusing or judging. We're not called for that. We're called to be preach the truth. Preach the truth. The important thing about God is that God is true. Okay,
Amen.
so that's where we are called to be in at all times, as much as possible, the truth. So I've come to understand it, but I get what you're saying. Sometimes it does get to be a bit much as far as the flesh and the doctrinal basis that is in us. That the doctrinal foundation that is Christ in us.
Yeah, and I learned this. I learned this through our Bible studies whenever we were going to, and I think one of the reasons why I kind of lost it a little bit on this. I didn't really attack it too bad. I did kind of lose my temper a little bit, but it was what he's saying. It brought out like a zealot in me, because what he was saying was so contradictory to the Bible and to the way it was. Like I was angry because the truth was being distorted, and he was leading
How
people
so?
down this like path of lies.
How?
And it's like, how could you?
How is what Chuck's saying distorting any sort of truth and leading people down lies? Lupin, please elucidate on this topic. I would really like to hear why you feel this way. He won't, though. He can. You guys still there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, Dan, where'd you go?
Well, he says he's having internet connection problems on the bus.
Okay,
Should
gotcha.
get better when he...
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, what is this guy even trying to say? Like, what if he can't specifically state what it is that Chuck said that's leading people down the road of deception, as he likes to say, then his argument has no weight. It carries no water whatsoever.
Be doing
Go
this?
ahead.
How can you be
That's
doing
all I
this?
had to say.
How can you be doing this? And then I tuned into the stream where he was like debating an atheist, and he was playing devil's advocate to the atheist. It's like, at your point, aren't you the person that's supposed to be guiding the atheist to Christ? Why is the atheist doing a better job at defending the gospel? At least he was trying to. And you're playing devil's advocate. I can understand if it was a Christian and you were trying to sharpen iron, and bring up good points. But if the guy was an atheist, how are you going to be playing devil's advocate? Because, he's already on that side of the fence. It was so bizarre to me. It was so bizarre, but there was some interesting things that came out of it.
Well, I don't know if you remember when on Proverbs Guy show that my friend Bruce used to come out all the time, and he would say, "Oh man, how are you sitting here, Pat, with this guy? He's a Catholic priest," and they always call him a Catholic priest, but he was Orthodox. But he was right in the end. He turned out to be right, man. You can't play with these guys. You can't play nice with them, because if you're part of the hierarchy, and if you're in there, you should know better, because you're studied, right? You can't just say, "Well, I'm a parishioner and I just believe what my father told me. I don't really read the Bible." Okay, you're just being ignorant and falling the wrong way. But if you're in there, you're studying these words and you see what's going on, and you're still part of that, and you make excuses for that. Something in you is not right. And I'm gonna make a judgment. I mean, I understand where you come from hip hop with that, but my discernment says you are not a Christian. You're not a follower of Christ if you're doing all these things, icons, kissing feet. I mean, look at what happened in the Catholic Church, right? Just look at the history of it.
Just look at it.
Who goes
just
around
look at it
on the
because just look at it is such a strong argument. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Rack and all that during the Inquisition, all that torture and all that they did, the Crusades,
the
pedophilia ring. More recent, right?
Let's call it out.
More recent.
Let's just call it
and you remember in Rwanda when the Tutsis and the Hutus were slaughtering each other, whatever. One was slaughtering the other one. The
Catholic Church admitted
they were part of that.
What?
They were helping with that.
What? The Tensies and the Hitsus? What is this guy talking about?
I don't know.
I don't either. Go ahead.
They were admitted to, and the Pope apologized for it. One of the popes, I think it was Paul. How are you, as a common sense individual, following that line and thinking you're following God? Even the parishioners, I don't have the mercy for them. I have people in my family that were Catholics too. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Something's wrong. If you understand these things, you make excuses for them, and you still continue in that line. Something's wrong. That doesn't have nothing. You will not find in the Bible where people are being tortured by any Christians or any believers in Christ or followers of Christ. It ain't gonna happen.
No. I agree 100% with you, Stump, on that. I do make a judgment on that. And that word judgment sometimes means something, and sometimes it means other.
It can be more. It can be more significant. Like you make a personal like I made a.
What is he talking about? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. I don't know.
Personal judgment, and it was over something so stupid. He just like offered me like friendship and everything like that, and I was like, you know what? To be truthful with you, I don't necessarily want you to be your friend, but I wish you the best.
Yeah, right.
And you know, I hope you go on the right way. I don't necessarily want to hang out with you. I don't want to be on the same streams with you. I don't really want to discuss too much with you. Because I know your history. I was real cordial about it, and he went on to immediately prove me right whenever I made that decision. Because the moment I said that, he started going to insulting me and mocking me and everything. And it's funny because if he was a man of the word, it was funny because this happened on a completely separate stream, and I don't know if this.
Aiden,
I need you to go back. I need you to go back at least 5 minutes. There's so much that responded to, but I've heard all so loud, and there were so many people talking to each other, and it would have been useless for me to respond on top of the internet. If you want to go back like 7 minutes,
yeah,
between 5 and 10, I think that'd be a good marker. But yeah, like the dumpster piled on top of ignorance, piled on top of was hold there, and it kind of needs to be time.
Why even choose that route? Like,
I will say this. I know that I think I understand what you're saying, and I've had to come to terms with this because it is like you say. I did not. I mean, a lot of the people in my family were.
Let's try to skip through hip hop. Your hip hop's rant. It contributes nothing to the conversation.
Where information was so easy. Seeing the lie, I started seeing the deception. Okay, the apostasy.
I think one of the reasons why I kind of lost it a little bit on this. I didn't really attack it too bad. I did kind of lose my temper a little bit, but it was you know what he was saying, it was
more than a little bit.
Brought out.
He lost his temper way more than a little. Hold on. He lost his temper way more than a little bit. He lost his temper to the point where he was trying to basically pull on every thread he could possibly think of to try and get Charles to yell at him and get angry at him. Oh, you're old. Oh, you're a fake priest. Oh, you're gonna die soon. Just scraping the bottom of the barrel, trying desperately to find some nugget that'll get Charles to react. But he's going to honestly try to recast that here as him getting righteously angry because of some vague, nebulous event that is never mentioned in any detail. It's just, oh, he played devil's advocate to an atheist one time, and the atheist was the one that was disseminating the scripture. Who, what, where, why, when, none of that fucking matters to this dipshit. None of it matters one little whit. Doesn't matter. None of it matters to any of the people in attendance either.
Right.
But yeah, let's listen to how, even though there was no atheist in the room when Father Charles and Lupin got into their big spat, we're going to hear about how Lupin went and did that because Father Charles was playing devil's advocate for a person that wasn't even in the room.
Like a zealot in me because what he was saying was so contradictory to the Bible and to the way it was like.
What was he saying, Lupin? What was he saying? What was he saying? Like, Mark, you made this point earlier, but what specifically was he saying? Can you come up with something? No, you can't, because that'd require actual mental effort, wouldn't it, Lupin? He was just saying stuff that was against the Bible. Bible. And that the thing that disgusts me isn't that he says that. Like, he says that is such a blatant falsehood, just based on the sheer vagary of it. But that these absolute drooling troglodytes that are in attendance with him just bobble their heads in agreement and go, that's sure is right, Like,
Who's with him?
so
I see
disgusting.
Stump. Who's the other guy? Pop? Yeah.
Hip hop.
Okay, right. Troglodytes. That's a good word.
Seriously, they're just a bunch of knuckle dragging, know nothing losers. Is really what they are. I'm done mincing words. I feel liberated. There's a weight that's being lifted off my shoulders. So thank you. Say these words. So thank you. That's right. That's right.
Clayton Bigsby,
Oh.
by the way. Yeah, I don't really actually believe that. I know Lupin jumped all over me for saying that in the chat the other day, but it's a Clayton Bigsby quote, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, let's hear
ahead, Logan.
This righteous anger. Like, basically hear his telling of history for why he made a total fucking ass of himself on stream, like he has for the upteenth time.
I've got both of Lupin's appearances on Missing Mod's show from the day before and yesterday, where he went off on me, Missing Mod, Lupin. Well, did he go off on himself? He may have. He usually does.
Man, we should just...
Claude, all of them. He just vitriol of the mouth, just spewing hatred because, well, I think it's because he hates himself. But go ahead and keep playing this one. I don't have this one as part of my little... I'm converting it right now. I'll bring it up next.
Distorted, and he was leading people down this like path of lies, and it's like, how could you be doing this? How can you be doing it? How can you be doing this? And then I tuned into the stream where he was like debating an atheist, and he was playing devil's advocate to the atheist. It's like, at your point, aren't you the person that's supposed to be guiding the atheist to Christ? Why is the atheist doing a better job at defending the gospel? At least he was trying to. And you're playing devil's advocate. I can understand if it was a Christian and you were trying to sharpen iron, and bring up good points.
Once again,
if the guy was an atheist, how are you going to be playing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, hi babe, what's up?
Somebody trying to join? Aiden.
No, that's
Aiden. There you go.
That's Brianna and me talking. Yeah, I was just trying to say as a response to this, that this whole example of, well, I could understand if it was iron sharpening iron. What is this example that he's giving here? Like, I guarantee you, if I tried asking him specifically what he's talking about here, he would pivot to just something along the lines of, oh, well, he does things like that all the time. No, name a specific event, Lupin, where this oh, so you're saying I have to name the day, time, and specific set? No, I'm just asking you to name the actual details. That's exactly how it would go, because this dunce is so predictable.
I think it might have been the time when he was talking to Big Bad Mama.
But I can't think of a single time that Father Charles is like, yes, let me play devil's advocate. Let's say that Jesus Christ didn't exist and that he's just not even real. Yeah, never heard those words come out of his mouth once. Like one time in a conversation. It's never happened. I can't, and that's like the closest I can think of playing devil's advocate, because the only alternative to that would be the even more absurd reality of, well, yeah, I'm just saying right now that for the sake of this argument, you're right. Jesus Christ doesn't exist at all. Like, he's never said those things. So what is this?
Yeah, it's nothing. It's Lupin patting himself on the back for being a dick.
And watch how riled up this absolute nothing burger that Lupin just served up. Like, literally, like, Not even a crumb of actual patty. You just open up the buns and there's nothing looking back at you. And Stump's about to chow down on that. He's gonna go full-fledged into that thing like it's the biggest, fattest double quarter pounder he's ever seen in his life.
Amen, brother. Amen, brother. Amen. Amen.
God. I love it. I love how riled up these people get over nothing.
Playing devil's advocate because, I mean, he's already on that side of the fence. It was so bizarre to me. It was so bizarre, but there was some interesting things that came out of it.
Well, I don't know if you remember when on Proverbs Guy's show that my friend Bruce used to come out all the time, and
Brucey,
he would say, "Oh man, how are you sitting here, Pat, with this guy?"
Yeah, you know what the funny thing is that Stump's about to say you can't be nice with these people because they know everything and they know the teaching. So then why'd you get so butthurt when I wasn't nice with you, Stump? Why'd you get so butthurt when I called you out on the fact that you're a stodgy old man that can't actually listen to another person's opinion because you've been so used to being in a position of authority that you can't stand the idea of being even slightly incorrect about something? You don't want to hear that. You want to hear the truth. What you want to hear is a bunch of platitudes bandied to you by Mr. Sunburn over here.
He's a Catholic priest, and
he's not a fucking Catholic priest. Right? He's not. He's not.
Didn't really just say that again?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I already called out the reason for this earlier. It's because Catholicism, even though they have a very tiny amount of knowledge of that, it's the only denomination that's close to Father Charles's that they know anything about. They've had it more than a year at this point. This little misconception that they've had here of orthodoxy has been going on for more than a year. Do you have any idea how much progress I've made in my understanding and knowledge of orthodoxy within a year? I've certainly come away knowing more within a year than I did at the beginning of that year because I'm actually interested in the subject. And because I actually want to know about it and I actually want to delve into it, and I'm trying to use people like Father Charles to expand my knowledge of it. Because even though I don't believe in it...
You're being led down a path of lies, man.
Yeah, led down a path of lies and deception. That's right.
I can't tell you what lies they are, but, bro, they're all lies, man.
just trust me, bro, is basically the argument there. But yeah,
just look
at it. Just look at it. Yeah. That argument's going to come in just a minute here. We're currently dealing with the argument of them trying to take down a denomination that Father Charles doesn't even belong to. That's where we're at right now with these dunderheads.
What you call a straw man? Go ahead, Logan.
It turned out to be right, man. You can't play with these guys. You can't play nice with them because if you're part of the hierarchy, if you're in there, you should know better.
Hold on.
Right? You can't say why.
But I thought he wasn't part of the hierarchy, Stump. I thought he was fake. I thought he wasn't actually part of the hierarchy. So what is this argument exactly? Oh, he needs to do better because he should know better because he's a priest. Oh, whoopsie daisy, you slipped up and you forgot your narrative earlier. I thought he was a fake priest, you fucking idiot.
Go ahead, Logan.
I'm a parishioner and I just believe what my father told me. I don't really read the Bible. Okay, you're just being ignorant and falling the wrong way. But if you're in there, you're studying these words and you see what's going on, and you're still part of that, and you make excuses for that. Something in you is not right. And I'm gonna make a judgment. I mean, I understand where you come from.
This is an entirely fabricated says you are scenario not a Christian. Stump is.
Yeah, hold on, pause.
It's entirely fabricated. Like this is all in Stump imagination mind. Like this isn't an actual scenario. He's just concocting it out of the blue. Go ahead, Aiden.
You can hear him getting more riled up. Is the funny thing, is that typically when you know what's going on and you're talking about it, yeah, sometimes you can rile yourself up more as you're getting into it. But if this is something that, Stump's really been carrying with him for a long time, like he makes it out to be, then it wouldn't be something that you're just, oh, I'm just going to get angry and I'm going to get angry and I'm going to get angry and I'm going to get angry. No, that's something that happens when you're extemporaneously dealing with something in the moment, when you're coming up with things or you're dealing with new information in that moment. That's when anger typically rises like that. When when you've quantified those things beforehand, you typically have the opposite, where you have a really high octane of anger and it kind of peters out over time. You don't have a bell curve like Stump has here.
Yep.
Icons, kiss and feed. I mean, look at what happened in the Catholic Church, right? Just look at the history of it. Torture. Who goes around and
Just look at it. Just look at it.
It's funny, Mark. You were saying earlier. You said, who uses just look at it as a compelling argument? I'll tell you who. People who don't know what they're talking about use that as an argument. They use it because they don't know anything about the history of the church. You know what people would do if they knew about the history of the church? They'd cite things that are a little bit more specific than, oh, there was an inquisition what went going to tortured a couple people before, and there were crusades that went around and they did stuff to people and stuff like that. There's specific examples. There's numerous specific examples in the history of the church where the church is messed up, and he could cite those quite easily if he knew about them. But no, just look at it. Yeah, that's a much more compelling argument if you're an ignoramus.
Just look at it. Just look at it.
He kind of looks like this guy Seth I forgot this one guy from the Apple Express movie.
Seth Rogen?
Not Logan, but this
Rogen.
What?
Seth Rogen.
Well, McLogan. I forgot his name, but
McLovin.
Not McLovin. A different guy. He's from the movie Apple Express. He had
Pineapple Express.
He had
Seth Logan.
That's Seth Rogen.
Oh,
Logan.
He had this one picture of him as a baseball guy, completely sunburned. He looks like him there.
Knowledge is power. They have no power. Beautifully put, Father Charles, because all that this is right now is basically just the equivalent of a 5-year-old kicking and screaming and desperately trying to come up with a reason why in the moment to justify why they're kicking and screaming. That's what you're hearing right now from Stump.
He looks funny with that supper.
on the rack and all that during the Inquisition, all that torture and all they did, the Crusades.
Yeah, so pause. You know what I find really funny is that Lupin here is saying, oh yeah, the Crusades, they're horrible. They're a horrifically bad thing when it suits his argument in this moment. But when he was refuting me and AJ, the Crusades were no big deal. They weren't a big deal. It was just a little blip on the radar. But now all of a sudden, when they need to be this big deal to try and go against someone they don't like, oh, those Crusades, oh, they were devastating. Give me a break.
Let's call it out.
More recent.
Let's just call it yeah.
And you remember in Rwanda when the Tutsis and the Hutus were slaughtering each other, whatever.
Okay, pause. So it's actually the Hutus and the Tutsis, Stump. Those are the factions that fought during the Rwandan Civil War, also known as the Rwandan Genocide. Once again, it really helps when you're going to cite things if you know about what you're citing, you idiot. Like, what are you doing right now? You're trying to, and he uses this as another reason for why he gets more angry and why he gets more vitriolic, and he doesn't even know what he's talking about. How could you get this angry over something that you don't know? I know why, because it's not the real reason. It's being used to justify another deeper hatred, another deeper anger. That's why it's being used here, despite him not actually knowing about it. It's because it's a thin mask to hide why he's actually here, which is to crap on a man that's done far more for the cause of Christ, so to speak, than he ever could hope to do.
Lupin.
They were helping
And Toopin takes a poopin'.
With that. They've admitted to, and one the Pope apologized for it. One of the popes, I think it was Paul. How are you, as a common sense individual,
Hey,
following that
Claude
line
in the chat.
and thinking you're following
buddy,
God?
how's it
Even
going?
parishioners, I don't have a parishioner. I have people in my family that were Catholics too. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Something's wrong. If you understand these things, you make excuses for them.
Oh, you have family members that are Catholics, therefore something's wrong. Personal experience arguments always tend to be like really, really strong, and I had this happen to me in my personal life, therefore my anecdotal evidence just applies to literally everybody. I mean, anecdotal evidence can be useful, but if all you have is anecdotal evidence, then it is useless.
Yeah. Agreed.
I can't. And these people, they think that they're like really getting one over on Charles as they're saying this. This is the thing that really blows my mind, is that in these people's minds, they think that they're like routing him right now somehow. And it's funny because Lupin was saying something, I think it comes up later, but I'll just kind of jump on it right now. He said, I don't want to talk to Father Charles. And he's right when he says that. He doesn't want to talk to Father Charles. He wants to talk about Father Charles when Father Charles isn't around to defend himself because he's a fucking coward. He's a yellow-bellied nobody loser that knows that in an actual religious debate setting, Charles would smoke him in his sleep.
And he probably would fall asleep because it would be a very boring conversation.
And he'd still smoke him. He'd still continue. Like, I genuinely am trying to think of how a religious debate would go between the two of them, and I can't fathom it because I know Lupin would never accept that. He'd never actually debate Charles on anything. And yet he goes and does teach. Like, this is the guy that goes and does teachings on things that he doesn't even know the positions for.
Oh yeah, like the premillennial rapture.
Yeah. The pre versus post millennial rapture. Oh, yeah. I'm.
see, this is relatively benign compared to his actual rants that he actually did on Missing Mod Show. I've got those pulled up. We'll play them next, but like obviously he's toning down his behavior for his little echo chamber over here.
His posse here, yeah.
Yeah, but he got pretty riled up, especially with Chuck.
Well, he tries recasting it amongst this group of.
You've got to be kidding.
You know what, Big Bad Mama? I thought you weren't going to share those private messages that I had with you. I really thought that you were going to keep those to yourself. But it's true. Lupin is quite frankly the genius of our age. I was going to compare him to a genius of our age, but I don't think that we've had a truly age-defining, like, Hammurabi to the Bronze Age, like Julius Caesar to the Iron Age. Like, we haven't had our Julius Caesar of our generation yet, but actually we have. He's been in our midst this entire time, and we just couldn't see it. Lupin, I do see it, though.
Takes a poop then. Hey, I gotta step away for like 5 minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay. You want me
go ahead.
Continue?
I've never had the desire to smoke.
Where people are being tortured by any Christian or any believers in Christ or followers of Christ. It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, and where do the Orthodox do that, Charles? Pause. Pause. Yeah, where do you find the Orthodox doing that either? Stump. Not only that, but the Inquisition that was launched by the Catholic Church is massively overblown in terms of thinking that they were just rounding people up and putting them on the rack all the time and stuff like that, which is what Stump was alluding to, like the Iron Maiden and the thumb screws and all that comes to mind. Did that happen on rare occasions? Sure. but it wasn't this endemic, like hundreds or thousands of people are getting this done to them all of the time. There was a couple examples that were very, very famous, and those, because we live several hundred years since, are not put in their proper context. They were just notable events. They weren't the norm at that point in time. But does Stump know that? Of course Stump doesn't know that, because surprise, surprise, Stump is ignorant. Good to go.
Make a judgment on that. And that word judgment sometimes means something, and sometimes it means other.
Well, it could be more. It could be more significant. Like you make a personal like I made a personal judgment, and it was over something.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Pause.
And everything like that.
So earlier in the show, Stump said that he made a judgment, and I just want to point out that that judgment that Stump made, this spiritual discernment garbage that Stump is trying to propagate, yeah, that was discerned off of Lupin literally coming up with a scenario in his head that he had no details for whatsoever. That's how he made his judgment. So yeah, that's how things are spiritually discerned over here in the wolf den, so to speak. I hear another genius. Yes, that's Dr. Hip Hop, Claude. You're hearing Dr. Hip Hop speaking now. He's his class has began, so make sure that you've got your notes ready, because the professor is about to speak.
I was like, you know what? To be truthful with you, I don't necessarily want you to be your friend, but I wish you the best. And
pause.
I hope you go on the right way. I don't necessarily want to hang out with.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that. He didn't say that he wishes him the best. What he did was use the opportunity to try and get more insults in on Father Charles, and try to get his ire up more by saying more things that he suspected were going to make him angry. That's what happened. He didn't wish him the best. That never happened. I mean, find me the part where he wished him the best. I think you're going to have a hard time.
I don't want to be on the same streams with you. I don't really want to discuss too much with you, because I know your history. I was real cordial about it, and he went on to immediately prove me right whenever I made that decision. Because the moment I said that, he started going to insulting me and mocking me and everything. And it's funny because if he was a man of the word, it was funny because this happened on a completely separate stream. And I don't know if this is kind of like the Mandela effect or whatever, but I'll get to it in a second.
What is he talking about?
Hip hop, because this one might take a
What was that? What? Hold on, wait. What was that, Lupin? That was just a big... Oh my goodness, I don't even know how to describe that. Yeah, that was certain. Those were certainly words, Lupin. Congratulations. Those were in fact words that came out of your mouth. I don't think they were cogent words, but they were words.
No. Go ahead. Continue. Get your thoughts out.
Oh, okay. Have you guys heard the lion and the lamb shall lay down together?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Eat straw together and all that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've read the Bible before. Wow.
I was on
such searing insight. Keep going.
Another stream, and that was mentioned. I can't remember if I think I may have brought it up on that stream. And there were people that were telling me, like, the Bible doesn't say that. Show me where the Bible says that. So I go and look it up, and I know it's the lion and the lamb. Let me see. The lion and the lamb shall lay down together is often cited in prophecy, speaking of a literal utopia to come to earth. Essentially, the prey will the prey
with the
and
predator.
with the predator will be at peace. There will be no fighting and everything like that.
Wow. Wow, hold on, Buzz.
Because
You mean the lion and the lamb shall lay down together means that the prey and the predator will get along? Wow, I couldn't have figured that out without you interpreting that for me. Thank you so much. I was really struggling with that one. Wow. I thank you. Thank you. I don't think I would have been able to get it without you explaining what that obviously meant.
I read this passage, the wolf shall dwell with the lamb.
Yeah.
And I thought it was real interesting.
Yeah.
Because they've accused me of being a wolf in sheep's clothing. If you want to call me a wolf, because
what? That's absurd.
My name is Lupin, and that is
No, I don't call you a wolf because your name is Lupin. I call you a wolf in sheep's clothing because you're a piece of garbage that tries to take advantage of people's good intentions and good nature in order to wreak your absolute fetid nonsense upon everybody so that you can feel better about yourself. That's why I call you that, Lupin. It has nothing to do with your name. It has entirely to do with the fact that you are a contemptible human being.
Yep, I'm back.
Hi.
It's a reference to wolf in like Latin or whatever. I'm not in sheep's clothing though. I'll be a wolf
in Latin or whatever.
A wolf. It was amazing, the hypocrisy and everything.
Pause.
But I said, hey,
Yeah, I'll be a straight up wolf. Well, are you being a straight up wolf here by obfuscating the nonsense that you said on the show and trying to act like it was no big deal and that you wouldn't even go off all that much, and when you did go off, it was justified if you really think about it. That's you being a wolf, right? That's not you being a coward. No, not at all. It's actually the opposite when you really think about it.
Big Bad Mama makes a good point. Lupin is a disgrace to wolves.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would definitely not use them as an example for wolf at all.
Go ahead, gangster. How long does he go on this topic?
Well, Mark, you need to understand that the wolf. You need to understand though. You need to understand the wolf and the sheep are gonna come together, which means that the predator and the prey they're gonna do the thing, and that means that the wolves and the sheep are gonna be the predators, and yeah.
Okay. Is he still going off on Chuck?
I don't know. Maybe it's diverted into something else at this point. I can't even really tell, honestly. We could go on to another one if you want to move on to the next one.
I just got back, so play it for like a little bit so we can catch up on the or I can catch up on the context. And I do have that the clips from his latest appearances on Missing Mod, which was the prelude to this stream.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Well, with the lamb, and the person who was supposed to be in the higher authority and who would know should know these
Chuck.
things,
He's still talking about
laughing
Chuck.
And mocking and saying, "The Bible does not say that. There's nowhere in the Bible that says that." You stupid.
No, actually, that was Bubblegum Gun.
The lion and the lamb.
Corrected him on that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it just goes to just like prove my point. Guys, be careful who you're listening to. Like, honestly, even be careful whenever you're listening to me. Like don't take my word. Don't take my word.
Yeah.
Don't take my word.
Don't take his word. That's the best advice he's had
Yeah, I would say if there's one thing that you can take away from this stream, take that away.
Yeah, don't take my word for it, Lupin.
Don't worry, buddy. I'm way ahead of you. Way ahead of you.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I think, people used to always say that the Mandela effect, they changed the Bible. It used to be the lion and the lamb, now it's the wolf and the lamb. And the Mandela effect changed it. But I mean, that probably came from just hearing people quote things and they said it wrong, but still a predator, right? The meaning is still the same. The predator and the prey are laying down.
Searing insight from Lumping the Turd.
It's not even a big deal, but then they'll, because we listen to people, we don't actually read it ourselves because we read it once, but then that's not right.
Pause.
You say the
Pause.
lion, and
We listen to other people. We don't read it ourselves. That is incredibly rich coming from you, Mr. Oh yeah, the Inquisition was real bad because I read about that somewhere in my elementary school textbook. Yeah, well maybe you should have read into it a little bit more, or maybe you should have actually, had some critical thinking or something like that. You didn't read it yourself. Either you had somebody tell you about the Catholics, or you had anecdotal evidence, or any of that crap. You didn't read anything for yourself, Stump. You've hardly read the Bible based on your knowledge of it or lack thereof.
Want me to
Yeah,
continue?
yeah, go ahead.
it's really the wolf and lamb in scripture. I mean, is that a big deal?
No. Amen. It's not a big deal, and it should not be a big deal. And how you're mocking, you're mocking, and you're tearing down a fellow brother, for saying something which he was right on, but you, as they profess to be wise, prove themselves to be fools. In this case, because they kind of walked into it, and I thought it was pretty funny because this had a little bit. This was one of those moments where I got to thank the internet and well, thank God that he put me in a timeline where I have the internet where I could go and look.
Thank God I'm an atheist.
Because that's what I had to do. Because whenever they challenged me on it on that other channel, that's fine, and it gave me kind of like an extra web arsenal. Because I read it and I was like, oh man, I know I've heard of the lion and the lamb, but then I go and read Isaiah 11:6, and then it says the wolf shall dwell with the lamb. And amen to what you said, Stump. Regardless, to any person with any kind of spiritual sense, even a person that's not Christian or spiritual or anything like that, can see like, okay, that's like a metaphor. And it can be metaphor and it could be literal, like toward as we return back to the garden where everything was in peace. It could also be a literal thing, but I see that you obviously see the metaphorical side of it, that the predator is going to be at peace with the prey.
No more that murder. I mean, no more murder. Murder didn't murder each other. No more death and killing. Because we know that the sin brought this into the world, corruption of the world, right? That's what brought it all in.
Amen.
The animals weren't eating each other. We weren't eating animals. If you read Genesis, it says God was looking for a helpmeet for Adam. That's what the animals were for. They're supposed to be helpers, not ones we eat and they do all our whatever, we beat on them and make them fight each other and all that. No, it's supposed to be helpmeets to help Adam in the garden get to where he got to go do his thing.
Yep. Probably riding around on dinosaurs.
Isaiah 11:6, like you were talking about, Lupin, it says.
All right, they are getting way out in the weeds.
Yeah,
now,
this is getting into nonsense territory now. So yeah, let's go and
we're gonna go. It's just under an hour. The two appearances that Lupin made on Missing Mod's show or one day after the other, and yeah, we're just gonna see, how Lupin actually behaved versus how he, portrayed
claims to have behaved.
Yeah, on that stream. So here we go, Lupin Tupin, and look at C Science. He's on camera. What a handsome, strapping young lad.
He looks just like the guy from
He
the
does.
trailer.
He really does.
discussions, and they're just like, why would anyone go online and have a discussion like that? That's weird. Like, they just don't seem to like. It just seems weird that they wouldn't.
Well, it's probably
be
so
way more
hard to
active.
defend Mormonism. You know,
Oh,
like,
maybe.
how are you going to defend such a fantastic book? You got this guy finding this book in the ground and then deciphering it with these magic stones. It just also sounds so much like BS. And nothing like the
I don't know,
Bible.
man. Sounds pretty legitimate. You just write them on gold tablets.
Says the Mujahideen fighter in the lower right.
Mujahideen! That's all I hear every time I see him there, I swear.
Why is he in this outfit, and why is he on camera in this outfit? Like, what's the ploy here?
I don't know. I think he might think that he's like a Navy SEAL operator in his mind when he puts this on.
We all know who he is. Like, he's not
looping
hiding.
dooping.
Yeah, and he's taking a pooping, and he's about to do exactly that for the next hour.
That only Joseph Smith can read, right?
Yeah.
Only I can translate these magic tablets with my magic seeing stones.
Adam, you see this?
Yes, I see that. Another
maybe I can
drunken,
read them
drunken
if I
peasants
took a hard
reference.
enough look. I can read the tablets.
I love how Adam
Is that where Romans?
I love how Adam tries to
Probably.
kiss up to Brett by hating on the drunken.
I have no idea. I don't even know. I mean, I've
Say again. Sorry, I was a little late on the pause. No? Did I misinterpret that? I can't hear you. Hello? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. Where did
Oh, I
Aiden
guess
go?
he dropped out. Okay. He was talking and he dropped out. I tried to pause, but then he left. Okay.
Can you look in the private section?
Yes. Where is that? Oh,
Private
yeah.
chat?
Okay. Yeah, I know.
seen the name around, but I don't really know who Speed Romans is. I haven't been around for a while.
Pretty sure it's like Chuck's cousin, right?
No, that's
Roman?
Woohoo.
But Missing
That's
Mod,
not woohoo.
Missing Mod, I love that you know the keen
Good to see
references
you,
that aren't just like drunken peasants quotes. It bugs me, like that people just repeat the same things that they heard someone else make a joke about. Like, find your own stuff. Like turd archaeologist.
Like
is way
what?
better than-
Like what, Adam? Like what?
I think turd archaeologist is way funnier than Gord and Dorn.
Yeah.
It's so fucking old.
Aw.
Turd archaeologist?
Like the Hovendites, like don't know that reference too. It's like, weren't you guys following this shit?
Welcome back, Aiden.
Oh, I was just in the sorry, I ended up cutting out. I was in the middle of saying that I find it very funny that Adam tries to score points with Brett by like trying to pretend like the drunken peasants was somehow the worst thing ever. It was a funny show. All right, it was a funny show. The cast was funny, and the things that they did on Brett Keane were absolutely hilarious. But
yeah,
Adam like tries to act like it's the most trite, worthless stuff on the entire planet, and I don't really get it personally. But okay.
He's trying to maintain a relationship with Brett Keane. If that's not obvious, I don't know how else to tell you.
Yeah, but I mean, like
he wants a spot on the Brett Keane show, and you know what? I'm not going to fault him for that, but I'm also not going to sit by and say, "Oh, that's a good idea."
I just like of all people to attach yourself to, like all I really would say as far as that's concerned is you can do better. Like I promise you that you can do better. There are better people out there.
Like come to the
This
Gangster
doesn't
Ghost
have
show,
to be.
you know?
Yeah, this doesn't have to be the end all be all. I promise.
Closely, like that was a key moment in internet history to me.
I mean, I've been a Hovenite all this time. All this time, I thought I was just a Christian, but apparently I'm a Hovenite too.
Me too. I
I
don't
guess
worship
I'm
him or
using
anything, but
Big Bad Mama's terminology. He uses that sometimes in his video descriptions.
Yeah.
I think it's
Did
a
somebody say my name?
title,
Say
though.
my name.
No. That was the
I
first
heard-
place.
Am I included in the conversation? Someone, please. Someone give me attention, please.
See, the whole Hovendite thing, like they brought them on themselves. Like they have adopted that title, I guess, and they seem to be proud of it. So why should
Well,
we
they're
stop
doing-
saying it?
They're doing the classic, like, we're going to take it back by trying to pretend like it's no big deal, and that's never worked in the history of ever. But I mean, good.
Yeah.
Like Brett
Not
Keane,
whatsoever.
in a famous example, Brett Keane tried taking back the whole mac and cheese joke, and it never worked. Everybody kept doing it. No one was like,
I have to refute because he turned the whole manatee thing into a pretty cool T-shirt. The
he
Manatee
did. No,
Mayhem,
he did
gotta
turn it
give him
into a
props
cool
for that.
T-shirt. I'll give
I
him
want
that
that
much.
shirt, but I don't want to pay him for it.
Yeah, if it's
If
the
I
same
ever see
thing
it
as
in a
Brett's
thrift store,
signature.
If I ever see it in a thrift store, I'm buying that thing as fast as I can.
Let's keep going, gangster.
Just say my
70
name. Say my name.
When we go on Brett's show, we got to encourage him to do a fucking turd archaeologist T-shirt,
Oh, that would be a good idea.
like an AI generated one.
Does Brett
I'm not.
even
That's
say
the only one
his
he knows
name?
how to
fucking turd
do.
archaeologist.
Yeah. What, did you
Martin,
unsubscribe from everyone?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you look in the private chat?
Yeah, give me just a minute.
Like,
Me?
yeah, you.
Oh, whenever I created my See Now and Know account, I only subscribed to like 5 channels.
I was thinking earlier. I told you that to change you should have changed one of your names to See, Know, and Now.
No, it's Now See Know and Now.
No matter how many times he says that, it's not going to be funny.
It was funny the first time.
Speak for yourself. I didn't find it. I mean, hey, maybe it was. I just wasn't. It wasn't my sense of humor, I guess.
Just saying.
You gotta get it right.
I thought the stump in the chat was pretty funny too.
Stump's always funny.
Oh yeah, Stump's the laugh riot. Can't
Yeah,
get
it was
nothing
him.
but
What's
funnies out of
wrong with
Stump.
you? Of course that was him.
What's that?
I like Stump.
Stump is the homie.
Let me put on my surprise face that Adam likes Stump. I'm just, I'm so shocked.
Always the finest people on the internet. Adam Cozy's up to.
And look, people like Stump and people like Brett and people like Missing Mod. They need friends too. I get that, but just you should broaden your horizons when it comes to caliber of people.
I mean, like, self-respect is an important thing.
Yeah.
Why are you banning me?
He's been real me since day
What I love
one.
about Stump is he always brings it back to the spiritual, and it's like he emphasizes it's not about the carnal, it's not about the material, it's about the spiritual. I don't see that many Christians doing that. I really appreciate that about him.
Yeah, no, Stump is really good. I should have done a Bible study today, but I got stuck in the laundromat and I didn't feel like doing the Bible study in the laundromat.
Why don't you want to do a Bible study in the laundromat? Why are you
No.
ashamed of? Are you ashamed of proclaiming the word in public? What's wrong with that?
Robin's back. Yay.
So, Sea Science, I don't think I ever saw you on camera. Like, I feel like you look different than what I would have expected from your voice. Not in a negative way, just.
Sure.
But I feel like, I don't know, I think.
I was expecting you to look hideous, Sea Science. Like, what was that? What was that?
Until the other day when you were drawing with Missing Mod.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
the other day when you were drunk.
Well, C Science must have just upgraded his internet connection because there's no way you could be running an HD webcam and simultaneously be using voice.
Come on, Lupin, have
Well, I
another
had to
drink.
restart the network,
Have another
Look
drink,
at
Lupin.
that ninja face. Like, how scary. Ooh.
I for one am intimidated.
Bro,
They've
you
got
had to restart the network like 3 years ago.
Well,
You-
they're always working on the cell towers near my house, so.
But C Science, do you remember me from a while back? Like I remember running into you like maybe years ago, but I don't remember like I can remember having discussions with you, but I don't really remember like it's probably everyone talks about evolution debate stuff, but
I don't know. I don't really
like I remember
either.
that you and I interacted, but I don't remember
Was
what it
it-
was.
See, I don't think
I've
he
only
was
been
there
on for a
during-
couple years, man. I mean,
Oh, maybe you just have a similar name then. Were you in like the Amy Newman crew and stuff?
I was on Amy Newman's like a year ago.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
it was
Maybe
around
he was.
there.
Probably.
But, or it's possible
Yeah.
that just your name is similar to somebody. Maybe I'm confusing with somebody else.
Dude, C Science has been around for at least. I think I've known C Science. Known. I say known with air quotes, but at least for like maybe 4 years.
That's what I thought. He's been around for a while.
Okay,
but just
yeah.
around
So then I ran in. Yeah, then I ran into you on like Amy Newman's or something like that. Maybe.
Well, you ran
Just seeing
into
you
me
in
here
Snap.
too, so here I am. If you have anything to
Rock
say,
you like a hurricane.
I miss Oscar. Oscar, not the Grouch.
I'll never be more here than I am here right now.
Oh, you know
Adam.
what? C Science Films.
Oscar the
I
Stump.
think maybe like Leo and Grayson.
I debated Grayson. That might be something to remember.
I feel like you and I had more than just a little bit of a run it. Like we had a back and forth, I feel like, about like maybe it was like it had to have been like Atheist Junior, Amy Newman, Leo and Grayson.
Before you became a creationist again, you mean?
I'm not a creationist.
Oh.
I was gonna
What
say,
are
don't
you?
push him too far. Look, be easy, C Science. Look, let him grow. Let him grow.
I don't believe in a creation. Like when I say I believe in God, it's
Didn't the Proverbs guys have like this whole big celebration about Adam converting to Christianity?
Yep.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that, make sure I didn't
Well,
miss
I
something.
mean, Adam was very committed, saying that I felt a thing and I heard a quote and a weird thing happened to me, and yeah, Jesus ?
Well, from what I remember from that, he was referencing his decision or basing his decision off of something that Neil deGrasse Tyson had done, which was similar in that he abandoned the atheist title but didn't embrace any sort of deity either. He just wanted to separate his name from the more militant atheistic crowd that is out there lurking.
Gnostic or a deist? A Gnostic deist?
No, he's still an unbeliever, but he's not an atheist in his own. I guess he's forming his own lack of belief system. I guess because he's not happy with the ones that are currently prevalent. I don't know. But yeah, it did have a lot to do with Neil deGrasse Tyson and his exit from atheism as a title. But it's not really a conversion to any religion or faith when you just leave one. You're not necessarily joining another worldview in that sense.
What if he becomes a Marxist? Where he believes in worship?
A Marxist.
I don't think Adam is anywhere near a Marxist.
No, I think he means like a Marxstoniist.
Oh, well,
That
that's
kind
not
of
a
Marxist.
thing. That's not a thing, so
Or
we're safe.
Stoniist? Or Atheist?
I'm founding it now, by the way.
Okay. Okay, and I'm gonna go. Never mind.
I'm being very generous
Well,
with that term.
I've
I
got to
noticed.
go because we're gonna be eating food, and I'm gonna
Ooh,
be
good.
taking my dog on a walk afterwards. So yeah, I'm gonna head out now. But thank you very much for doing this, gangster.
You're welcome.
Yep. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for
Yeah, I'll
joining.
try and pop in at some point here. But yeah,
All
talk
right.
to you guys later.
Talk to you later.
Don't leave us, Aiden.
No,
No, enjoy your day, brother. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Sorry.
It's like I do believe in something that is, I think most people would say, is the Holy Spirit. But I don't believe that a creator God created the universe and stuff.
You
Oh,
should
so you
join us
believe
during a
in
Bible
Big Bang
study. I'm going to have a Bible
cosmology?
study tomorrow.
I can't do
You
it tomorrow.
believe in
I'm on
Big Bang cosmology still, Adam?
I'm sorry, what?
You believe in Big Bang cosmology?
No.
Still?
My number one thing is I debate against Big Bang and I lose it and I fucking go off. I fucking hate the Big Bang.
Yeah, it's complete garbage.
I completely lose my shit if anyone argues with me about the Big Bang and I can't control my temper. And it's like the number one like hot button.
So if you don't believe in a creator God really, but more like a spirit, then how do you explain, what creation model do you hold to?
I'm not a creationist. I believe that the universe has always been here.
Oh, okay. So you don't believe in the beginning of the universe?
Right. I'm not a creator. So Big Bang is creationism.
Thermodynamics and entropy in the universe and the fact that all energy is dissipating over time. Do you understand that the stars are losing their heat and eventually they'll burn out?
I understand that that's what people who accept the Big Bang theory believe, but I don't think that that's valid.
Well, you don't think that these stars are using energy when fusion occurs?
I believe it would take a lot to get into the specifics of what I believe, but I don't think that the stars using up their energy is something that like runs out at the end and there's like a heat death of the universe. I believe it goes in cycles. So it's like, yeah, the stars burn out and they cool off and they evolve and they change, but that energy and matter and those molecules go out into the solar system and out into the galaxy and it goes into becomes clouds and stuff, and it goes through cycles where it eventually coalesces into something else. It doesn't just disappear.
I think it's just interesting how the first couple sentences in Genesis perfectly describe the Big Bang.
Yeah,
So you believe in the life of stars and stuff, like stars coalesce and nebulas and these gases are pulled together.
I don't believe in what is called the nebular hypothesis, like it's like from several hundred years ago of just like gravity explains everything and it just like kind of clumps together and just becomes all these complicated things. That's a sort of really outdated, basic way of trying to explain anything. It's not really much of an explanation. It's just
it's
an
modern
appeal to gravity.
cosmology is what it is. I mean, it's not outdated. That's the modern cosmological model. Is that gravity coalesce these gases and particles together into stars, and then planets formed around the stars. But you don't buy that model, right?
No, I don't, because it doesn't explain why does Saturn look completely different from the sun.
Saturn's not a sun.
Yeah, so
if it's just stopped coalescing because of gravity, why would
to...
there be why would the moons look so different? Why would the planets look so different?
Mark, I need to say something.
Yeah.
I heard he said he thought the Earth was a sun.
Who said the Earth was a sun?
I heard from Aiden that Adam said that.
What? No, surely not. That can't be true. He can't think the Earth was a sun. Really?
That's what Aiden told me before.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. No. Okay.
What?
He might think that, but it's not true. I'd like to hear him say it before I just accept it as gospel truth.
Yeah. What do you think about Michael Jones said that about the fall?
I think he has a lot of good points. I think he goes a little too far with the metaphor, but other than that, I mean, he's pretty sound as far as theology goes, from what
Yeah,
I can tell.
yeah. He says way he has it where it could be evolution is that he said why Eve was called the mother of all living was because of something else. I forgot. Same thing they said about this other guy. I guess they're the sons of this one guy. I forgot.
Yeah,
Is Lupin there a ninja?
he's a ninja. He looks like a ninja. Trying to find, because I'm pretty sure Chuck came on in about 15 minutes, but I'm gonna fast forward just a
Are
little
you sure
bit.
this is the episode? It's like this might be a different one.
I think this might be a different one, but the one that they did yesterday is at the end of this.
Oh, okay.
But this is the one where he dressed up like a ninja.
Yeah.
Infinite timeline.
Sure, yeah. No, I would look forward to it. Sounds like a great. I genuinely do like, even if we have slightly different beliefs on certain aspects. I love talking about spiritual matters. I love talking like what you just said. That's why I actually enjoy talking, and it's hard to find people that actually want to talk about it. So.
Oh yeah, trust me. I'm online on a lot of different chat rooms, and it's hard to find people that want to be serious. I could go with the haha bullshit. Let's just get wasted and just talk about whatever kind of stuff. Been there, done that. So every once in a while, I'll enjoy that kind of content. But at the end of the day, really, I want to study. I want to study the Word and just get closer to my relationship with Jesus Christ. And if I could bring you along for the ride, that would be good. And like I said, I just hope you join us one day for just a Bible study and just ask questions or just listen, do whatever. You're always
Sounds good.
welcome.
Yep, I much appreciate it.
Yep, and I care for you as a brother in Christ, man. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to challenge you too much, because if you challenge a new believer, that could always be that could cause a negative impact. So
Tell the other believers to don't use this as your opportunity to try to convert me to your brand of belief. Like, it really turns me on from wanting to consider your stuff. Like, leave me alone about it a little bit.
Yeah, I'll let you grow in your own time. I can't save you. I could just guide you to the Word and pray that the Word speaks to you in your heart, which I know it will over time, but I'm not gonna put a timeline on it, and I'm not gonna claim credit for it, because it's not me. It's the Holy Spirit.
Fair enough.
Amen to that.
Okay. All right. With that being said, good night, guys. Missing Mod.
Right.
Pleasure
Nice, man. Have a
talking.
good one.
That's good.
See signs. I'll see you around, brother.
Yeah, I'll see you in your next upload, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'll be watching you fight people in the comments.
Yeah, how does this guy get a wrench?
Don't give him a wrench. He's gonna start beating people.
She wants to know what you got to do to get a wrench on Lupin's channel.
Just go to from my channel.
Yeah.
You got to go to my Only Jesus Club.
And Lupin, stick to Avril Lavigne. Stay away from my Gwen Stefani from now on.
Look, man. All right. You're gonna
compromise.
All right. I'm gonna go to bed angry right now. All right. Just if you find the head of Machine Gun Kelly in your bed at night, it wasn't me. Okay. I'm just saying that right now.
All right. I've been warned.
All right. Talk to you guys later. God bless.
Bye.
Night, buddy.
Hey, did you come in to go over that video with me?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, because it is so funny.
Here it is.
You don't mind, do you, Bubby?
This is where Lupin came on and went
Do you want me to
nuts
stop calling you
yesterday.
Bubby, too? Because I don't want everybody to be like, acting weird. I just thought it was cute.
I don't mind.
Okay, good. Let me get this up here, then.
What?
Man, this was so funny.
Yeah, he
You're gonna
comes
make
in like right
Mark
after
jealous.
Charles.
Ugh. Yeah. I doubt that, but
Hey, Mark. She doesn't call you Marky. She calls me Bubby.
yeah, haha. No,
And she called.
Hey, Gangster Ghost. Do you know if they were talking about me or Mark Reed?
I think my
Probably Mark Reed, because I
might
don't
be
really know
bugging.
Bubblegum Gun. I don't know if he knows
Yeah,
me either.
maybe I'm
But
not
he and
sure.
Mark Reed know each other. I think.
Oh.
Maybe. I don't think they like each other very much. Anyway, I'll play.
Calls
call him
me
a couple of
Chucky.
Chucky.
when you see a triangle, play it. Never call a guy back. Baldy? Oh. Bears came out of the woods and killed 40 youths. Okay. Ask me if I mind. Do you mind? Okay, I'm gonna play. And this is when it just started getting pretty good.
You play? What video games you play? It's like, dude, I play all types of games. Look, man, I'm not gonna try and be friends.
And just, sorry, let me give context because Lupin is fighting with Mark in the chat, and some stuff was said about Mark, and Lupin said that he had hate, was filled with hate because of his Ken Hovind stuff. And Mark flipped out the other day and banned two of my accounts, and, just like was being a jerk because he said me and Robin took Lupin's side or didn't defend him or something. So I was trying to prove him wrong. So now that moment's already passed and I already proved him wrong. So now he is Lupin and Mark are arguing back and forth from the comments because so Lupin is saying he doesn't want to be his.
So yeah, she said she was gonna prove me wrong that she let Lupin come on and talk trash about me, which she did with minimal to no pushback whatsoever. So to prove me wrong, Lupin comes back on the show and goes even more ballistic, not only on me but also Chuck especially and Claude, and even went off on missing mods. So whether she proved me wrong or not, she kind of stuck her foot in her mouth when she let Lupin come back on just to prove my point yet again.
His friend. Is that good enough or is that too much? All right.
Friend you or be friendly with you and be your pal or play games with you because his whole plan, his whole idea is just to get intel on you, and like once he's got a couple of bad things, then he tries to make a little smear campaign and make you look like a crappy person or like a trash person. He'll put all the negative crap out there. It's a really slimy.
So yeah, Lupin came on Chuck's show the other day and was trying to do all his let's stir up Lupin poopin' drama crap. And I tried to redirect the conversation to something more friendly and amicable for the whole audience. And we talked about, or I tried to talk about video games, and I wasn't trying to set him up. I wasn't trying to get dirt on him. I was trying to see if there was any level that I could connect with this guy so maybe he quits spreading lies about me. But, that obviously blew up in my face, and Lupin's about to blow up in Missing Mod's face, as you will see.
Really slimy thing to do.
Oh, sorry.
And what are you apologizing to Mark? Quit saying sorry for people you didn't do nothing. It's just what Mark does.
Oh.
It wasn't even on your channel. It was on Chuck's channel.
Did you fart, DG?
Did you, Robin?
No.
Did you, Robin?
That's funny.
That was.
Are you okay, Chuck?
No, I'm good.
Good.
Oh,
said,
okay.
Sorry, I thought maybe he did.
It's always the first accuser.
Lupin, What do you do if you became?
Why? Gangster, I'm gonna strangle you. What is it?
What if he became Superman? Called Super Lupin.
Man.
Super Lupin.
Yeah.
See, everybody's trying to change the topic and get him off the chat, right? Because we didn't want them fighting. I didn't need to help because it's like, yeah, he lets Peter talk crap about me on his show. I was just like, whatever, let him talk. Oh, someone's here. Lupin, hey.
What's up, Mr. Mod?
Hey, you coming to...
And by the way, I asked Missing Maud for evidence that Peter had talked crap about her on my show, when all I've ever seen is them two interacting together. I mean, she was there. If she felt Peter had talked crap about her, she could have said something. But that didn't happen, and there's been no evidence to the claim that I let Peter talk crap about her. I'm not saying that that may not have happened or definitely didn't happen, and I just don't remember it. And that could be a possibility, but I don't remember a specific instance where Peter was talking mad crap about Missing Maud, where either she wasn't there or somebody didn't rein that in. So I don't know what she's talking about. Do you know, Gangster?
go over the video with us? Because you were hilarious in it.
That's okay. I don't remember it either. And if anybody were to correct me and say, yeah, that did happen, it would be you or Missing Maud, which she very well could pull up that footage where she claims that I allowed Peter to talk crap about her. But I don't believe it exists, and that's not to say I can't be proven wrong. I mean, I've done hours and hours and days, if not weeks, worth of live streams, and Peter's been on quite a few of them. So, I mean, if you want to go digging and find it and prove me wrong, I'm more than open to hearing that argument. But until that, I'm gonna stick by my memory, which isn't always the best, and say I don't remember that happening.
This.
What video?
I don't want you and Chuck fighting, though, because... Yeah.
Oh, well, they're about to
How
fight.
can I fight with somebody who's already dead?
I am a snake. I'll stay low in the grass.
Yeah, don't worry about it. My machete will reach down there.
Hey, don't do that, because I will kick you out, Lupin. Don't be like that.
Oh, okay.
Right? Just don't say
Yeah,
anything.
what video is it?
It's the stream that you came on when Mark said that we didn't defend you and we took your side, which I already proved that wasn't true.
Oh yeah, Mark is incapable of or incapable of telling the truth. That boy just lies all day.
Well,
And another claim that's unsubstantiated. I do try to be truthful in everything I say. If I've lied, please demonstrate that to me and correct me. I would be more than willing to correct a mistruth or lie or anything. Like I don't want to be thought of as a liar. I don't conduct myself that way. So I mean, if there's evidence out there that I've been spreading lies and mistruths, please correct me. I'm willing to repent of that. So
First, you need to
and
pant,
then
then
repent. And then the girl just keeps dancing in the background. All right, let's keep going.
That was so crazy.
I know.
I don't want to talk more crap about him, even though I don't,
It's not really even crap talk. It's just like the honest truth.
Yeah, but sometimes we could just not say.
See, there, she agreed that Lupin is telling the truth. She says, yeah, but we don't have to say it out loud. So, like, she's showing her true colors. She also, I mean, notwithstanding the fact that she's outright called me a liar today, she's just showing her true colors here. That she does believe I'm a liar, and she is siding with Lupin. And if somebody wants to be my friend and they're in a direct conversation with somebody else that's calling me a liar, the least I would expect is them to stand up for me and refute that. But no, she agrees with him and lets him continue to not only malign me, but go on to Chuck and absolutely just spew this complete nonsensical, incoherent vitriol because Lupin don't like Chuck.
Say the truth. You don't have to anyway. I'm not saying that we need to lie, but we just don't need to bring it up, right? Like, I don't think he lies all the time. I think he's just
Well, he kind of reminds me of like somebody who got their hands on like the 48 laws of power, like before the internet, and was able.
So I don't know what he's talking about with the 48 laws of power. That might be something he's familiar with and has tried to enact. I mean, the best description of Lupin that I've heard comes from Aiden when he says that he's like the early 2000s kid in the freaking Call of Duty chat that only exists to piss everybody off. Like that seems to be his tactic and his MO. And I mean, if the shoe fits, I mean, wear it. And he certainly seems to like to wear that shoe.
To like use that to his advantage, but doesn't realize that the internet's been around now. So like people know like the kind of tactics that people will use using that. And so it kind of they fail at it. They fail at utilizing the tools.
You know,
Well, see,
that sounds so spot on.
when he tries to get off of this Kent
doesn't it?
thing, though, when he tries to get off of this Kent stuff, people attack, say things like that about the hate and all that. That's exactly what happened with last time. He privated all of the Kent stuff, and then the very next day, Dustin had to talk shit and then cause a problem, and then it was back on like it never ended, and it's like, you guys should just be quiet about it. Just don't say anything. It'll happen in time. If you can't tell, it's kind of lost its steam already.
Yeah. No, I was,
We should be worried about him,
about who?
about Mark, and his, because
No, you don't need to worry about me. You really don't. I'm a grown man. I can take care of myself. I can worry about my own self and my own things. I don't need some vitriolic internet trolls out there worried about me and my sanity. Like, it's not asked for, it's not needed, it's not wanted. So kick rocks with that stuff.
Oh no, I care for Mark, and I hope he does. I hope he gets better, but there's something wrong with him.
I hope he gets better. What a loaded statement. That's implying that there's something terribly wrong with me. And yeah, I have PTSD and ADHD, but that's not that uncommon, and that's not something that's wrong with me. It is something that I deal with and I live with, and I've been in therapy for a decade plus, but it's not something that's wrong with me. So anyway,
look, it's from being a military vet, and yeah, it sucks, and that was for us. We should all be
Maybe something happened. Maybe something happened during the. I don't know. I know some people that have been in the military and they didn't do jack stuff. Like.
yeah, I was in the army. I was infantry. I have been in combat. I did stuff. Yeah, this is true what Lupin says, that there's some people that have enlisted in the military and never served in combat or seen any kind of action or even been deployed, but that's not the case with me. I'm a decorated combat vet, and that's just the reality of the situation. Like, it's not something that I
You're a
brag
hero.
about. It's not something I even boast about. I mean, I've talked about it a little bit, but it's not what defines me as a person. But yet they're going to sit here and talk about how damaged I am and make excuses for my, you know, problems and whatnot when they don't have a clue what they're talking about. They've never served, they've never been in combat, they've never had to experience that, and I have, and yeah, I have a different perspective on it, but that doesn't give anybody the right to tell me how I'm doing, how I've experienced things, or how I've overcome the issues I have had. They're completely out of their lanes in even bringing this up. They don't know what they're talking about, and it's shameful.
You're a
That's
hero.
what people tell me, and I don't usually like to hear that, but I do accept that people feel that way, and I'm okay with people feeling that way. But what I don't appreciate is when people who have no idea what they're talking about start painting veterans with this broad brush. Oh, they're all messed up. They're all damaged goods. We just want them to get better. There's a lot of veterans out there that are doing just fine. But on the other hand, there's a lot of veterans that aren't. And to just paint all of us with this broad brush of, oh, I just hope they get better because, it messes with people. Just shut up with that stuff. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I agree. You're a good guy, Mike.
Thanks, Logan.
Like they'll even tell you, it's like, dude, I sat at a desk most of the time. Like they were trained and prepared to do stuff, but it's not like he saw combat or anything like that.
Yes, he did. He's seen combat. He was in infantry, so he was like in the front lines, and he did
Okay.
see combat. Like
So then yeah, there's probably something like legitimately wrong with him, and I hope he.
Are you okay?
Oh, sorry, my mic was still muted. I wanted to say, yeah, Speed Romans, you're right. She did correct Lupin in telling him that I did see comment after that boisterous claim that he made that I never did. Was that standing up for me? I mean, you be the judge. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But that only led Lupin to confirm his thought that there is something wrong with me, just based on the fact that I am a combat vet. And there was really no pushback from that, so we'll keep playing.
He gets the help that he needs. I mean, I say that with all sincerity.
I was watching a Vietnam veteran talk about how coming out of Vietnam was different than coming out of World War II, because he says the reason that Vietnam veterans were so downtrodden opposed to the World War II veterans is because there was no debriefing after the war. Because after World War II, there was like a layback time when people were like talked to, and so you had time to converse with fellow people who were also there, who also shooting up each other. So they had time to chat with one another about the war and how they felt about it. But that didn't really happen with Vietnam. You got sent in, and then you got taken out. There wasn't no really this downtime to debrief.
Oh, we're about to get to the quote.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I wanna kind of highlight what is that Bubblegum that's saying
That
this?
is bubblegum.
He's got a very good point there, distinguishing the differences between returning World War II vets and Vietnam vets. At the end of World War II, there was a mass demobilization. Very small units stayed behind for the denazification and the rebuilding the Army Corps of Engineers and everything like that. But by and large, people who were in combat and served were they were mass demobilized, which means they got sent back to the States on a ship. So they're on a boat for month, 2 months with people they've been in combat with. So yeah, they did have that time to debrief with their comrades, their fellow soldiers who they had personally served with, and that kind of gave a buffer to entering back into normal civilian society. And also during World War II, they were much receptive of the veterans coming home. There wasn't as much animosity about the righteousness of the war as there was with Vietnam. And compare or contrast what happened with World War II soldiers with the way that Vietnam soldiers were sent home. They were on a constant rotation. People were coming and leaving. One day you're with your unit fighting, you get shot, and you get sent home on a plane with 100 other guys from different parts of the war, and you're back home. You're just thrown right back into it, and it wasn't the same process. So you've got a lot of guys coming back from Vietnam. As soon as they're being demobilized, they're sent home immediately, not necessarily at the same rate or time as their fellow soldiers they fought with. it's a different time, it's a different method. There is a difference here that needs to be acknowledged. But all that being said, has nothing to do with my service, which is what they're talking about, and how I have something wrong with me because I'm a combat vet.
Yeah, it would be a valid point if we were talking about post-war demobilization in general, but it doesn't really serve much of a purpose to this particular conversation.
Right. I mean, I flew on a plane with my company to Iraq and flew on a plane with them back. I mean, it was just us, but still, that's completely different than either World War II or the Vietnam War or any other conflict. I mean, the Iraqi conflict was very different type of warfare. But anyway, back to these guys, these clowns.
To lay it all out.
Yeah.
So it could be a thing that's happening, this war too. You get sent in, you do your tour, you get sent back out. But the war is never. You don't really get to talk about it.
Times change, but war doesn't. No, war has war and military experience has its toll on. I think everybody has positives and has negatives, and I think our veterans are highly undertreated and undertaken care for. But yeah, I mean, probably, a lot of them say, a lot of war people that come back from the war say like one of the hardest thing is just getting back into society, because it's like they kind of lost their purpose.
Yeah, because
It's like I was somebody in the army, I was somebody in the infantry, I was the commander in the infantry, I was a leader in the infantry, whatever. And then you come back and you're like, what the fuck am I doing bagging groceries,
Yeah, because
See, and this is just another attempt by Lupin to seem like he knows what he's talking about by painting all returning veterans with this broad brush that really doesn't depict anyone's experience.
Well, it not depicting anybody's actual experience doesn't matter because he's done what he needs to, and what he needed to do was attempt to convince the people in this room that he knows what he's talking about, and he's been successful, so that's all that matters.
Well, that's not a very high bar, let's be honest.
Oh, I agree. It's not a high bar at all. It's the opposite of it. But doesn't mean that it's not the objective here as far as what I can tell.
Yeah.
it is like that Rambo scene, Rambo, the first one. Before it became all
It's
action.
like that Rambo scene, really?
Well, you know what I've found in my experience is they don't want to talk about it because they don't like the attention or to think about it. It's a lot more is going on there than you realize, I guess. But yeah, we should just be.
I feel guilty almost whenever I attack Mark, but most of the times it's because I get provoked into.
So he feels guilty because he has some sort of superior, cognitive abilities and some superior grasp on his emotions and psychological well-being. Obviously, he's going to feel sorry when talking to me, some poor damaged soul that, is basically worthless after they come back from war. Feel bad for me. Yeah, go ahead. Feel bad for me, Lupin. Feel bad for me. Yeah, I'm one of the war people. Yeah. Feel bad for me, Lupin. Feel bad for me all you want, but you don't have a clue what you're talking about. I actually pity you and your ignorance and your boisterous ways of proclaiming things that are not true, and you have no idea what you're talking about, as if they are true and you do have some idea. It's ridiculous. This guy just blabbers on with no coherent point to make other than to prove that he's an idiot, apparently.
Yeah.
To attacking him, because I feel bad because I know that mentally you can be hurt. You can be mentally in pain, and and not want to show it, and a lot of that stuff can build up, and sometimes it doesn't end up in the best outcome. So, I have insulted Mark, and I've even apologized for saying stuff like, like if he said something that pissed me off. I was like, hey man, I said something off color. I shouldn't have said that, dude. Like, my bad.
The only time that he's ever said that was when you got him on the whole "suck start a shotgun" comment, and it was literally so egregious that even he had to admit that it was egregious. That's the one time that he's ever eaten crow on anything that he's said towards you ever.
But even then, he was trying to backtrack it like it was some kind of joke. Like, it was meant to be funny, man. It's just a saying, that we say. No, it's not.
It's
It's the first time
absolutely
I've ever
hilarious.
heard anybody say that. So
It's totally tasteful, hilarious thing to say to a combat veteran.
He cares so much about veterans and their experience, and he knows how they feel. So he's gonna just tell one to go start a shotgun. That so much empathy is just exuding from this guy. Like, I might die. I might just, all the love I'm feeling from him might overwhelm my sensibilities and just strike me dead.
Well, try your best to hold on, Mark. Just try your best.
I'm trying. I'm hanging on a wing and a prayer, bro.
There you go.
I got caught up in the heat of the moment.
Well,
I really don't like to fight. I really don't like to argue and fight with Mark. I really wish we could.
That's the closest thing to an admission of guilt that he's gonna give. There is, I got caught up in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, and I really don't like to talk crap about Mark, but he's a piece of shit.
I don't like talking about how much of a contemptible piece of garbage Mark is and how he should be killed, but I mean, yeah. It's like, okay, Lupin.
Could have a conversation. It's just we can't.
Hey, Lupin.
It's... Oh.
Hey, Lupin. Don't you think it's time we shook hands and became friends?
See, and that right there is the right way to approach somebody who has said a bunch of crap about you, and it really hasn't bothered you because it's not true. And I'm talking for Chuck here, obviously. I don't want to speak for him, but I'm just putting myself in his shoes and trying to empathize. So Chuck sees this troubled soul, Lupin, who runs his mouth constantly and has run his mouth off at Chuck. And Chuck's like, all right, maybe I can make some inways with this guy and figure out what's really going on. I mean, Chuck's a priest. That's what he does. He tries to counsel people. So Chuck, knowing that he's a priest, knowing that he has this background of counseling people and helping them through issues, is genuinely extending an olive branch to Lupin in what I would say is a very sincere effort to help the guy process the stuff that he said. Like, let's just drop it and talk about it. Drop all the crap. Let's move on from here. And what you're about to see is Lupin pooping all over that proposition. Because Lupin.
Yeah. Because Lupin.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
What?
No.
No.
Okay.
Okay. He's trying to let bygones be bygones, and you're going to hold on to the grudge, Lupin.
Yeah, no, I see thorns and I see fangs.
But you're not supposed to do that.
I see them. It's okay.
Well,
when it'll happen naturally.
All right, if you and I'm talking to everybody, if you start seeing things that nobody else is seeing, like
talk to your physician,
thorns and fangs, you might want to go get a psych eval because there might be something going on in your brain that you can't control without professional help. So if you're seeing things that other people say are not there, such as thorns and fangs, maybe you should see somebody.
Yeah, I think that's a solid recommendation.
Okay,
this is natural.
That's cool.
I won't make fun of you. I won't attack you. I hardly ever do, except whenever you guys are constantly talking about me.
After the stream? What did he do after the stream? He stopped talking about him after the stream, right?
Oh, well, this was the last stream that Lupin was on before he went on his own show and absolutely denigrates Chuck and completely misrepresents the entire conversation that was about to take place. It has taken place, but we're about to experience it again, unfortunately.
which seems like it used to be almost every day, or would be about almost every day. It'd be something negative. So, but I mean, I won't
Okay,
make fun of you,
listen,
but I don't
I
necessarily
tried
need
to
to
make
shake your hand.
us friends. Okay, I understand.
Okay, I don't really want to be your friend. I don't want to be your friend. I wish you the best, though.
Okay.
He's
I
trying
can
to
see you're
settle.
preaching the gospel truth there. Okay.
You know,
See,
there's a
Lupin,
say, there's a saying that goes to forgive is divine, to forget is demonic.
Claude Balls. Hello, Claude.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Yes, I'm awake very
Claude.
early. Hello, Father Charles.
I tried to be friends with Lupin. He just won't allow it. I guess I'm the wrong kind of Christian.
Well, don't worry about it. You know, would you like your children to grow up like these guys?
I'm right here. Who's
Yes.
like?
Yeah, I just want to say thank God for Claude Balls to come in here and bring some levity, bring some intelligence to the conversation beyond, oh well, I don't want to be your friend, but I forgive you, brother. But I'm not gonna be a friend. Thank you, Claude Balls,
Yeah,
for
thank you for actually contributing something to the conversation,
Yeah.
Claude. It's much appreciated.
Like these guys.
Yeah, these guys, you.
Like me?
And the answer to me is no. So if you don't want to be friends with your Father Charles, don't lose any sleep over it. It's not a problem.
Exactly. Yeah. Go take Claude Ball's advice. Go sleep over it. Whatever he said. What video were we watching, Missing Mod?
Well, we were watching the stream from the other day because it was hilarious. But yeah, let's
Go
all
ahead.
just get along while we're in here. This is what do they call it? Switzerland. So let's just all be nice. No crap. And let's laugh at how funny this is, actually.
And Lupin
might be
proceeded
super
to be
Lupin.
nothing but peaceful this entire interaction.
Oh, it's like he didn't even hear what she said.
Well,
Like,
and she
just-
doesn't enforce it at all with Lupin. And this is something that I like. If only she enforced the rules of her chat as stringently with people like Lupin as she does with atheists, because she has no problem shutting things down as soon as things go a negative direction in a way that it's against her faith or is against something like that. But if it's something like this, then whatever, it's no big deal.
Fair game. We're trashing on Mark Stoney and Father Chuck. Let's go. Oh, but disclaimer. Please stop.
Yeah. All
Nah. Nah. Who made those thumbnails? Who made those thumbnails with me like on Scorpion's head and whatnot?
Me, I did it.
You didn't make those, did you?
Yeah. I put Claude on Johnny Cage's body.
Yeah, I wish I could play those online because I would definitely put the beat down on you guys online. Yeah. What are you talking about? Trying to be friendly, blah blah blah. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Whatever, Mark. Whatever you got to say, buddy. Yeah, buddy. I'm gonna turn to the Canadians from South Park. Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
Because that shit is not helping.
Lupin? Are they Aiden? He's from Canada, eh?
They sound like Aiden.
That was funny.
It's okay, Mark. I don't want to be your friend. I love you. Wish the best for you. Not gonna be your friend.
I love you. I hate you. Not gonna be your friend, but I love you.
I love you, but I'm not going to express the most basic aspect of love towards
Friendship,
you.
No, I'm gonna love you from a distance. Like, that's fine with me. You can love me from wherever you are, Lupin. Just stay out of my life, and that love will be reciprocated.
I love the fact I love it when you leave us alone, Lupin. I really do.
Right?
I love it when you just
it's so pleasant.
Stay in your own little thing and you do your thing on your own time. That's some good stuff, Lupin. That's some good stuff.
Don't want to be friends.
And see, that doesn't necessarily mean like you guys are going to hang out and be buddies. It just means we're not fighting anymore. Like they just want to just be, you know, not fighting. So not necessarily friends. Okay, like it's just easier to say it that way, right? But you know, yeah.
No, that's exactly what I did. I said I don't want to be your friend. I wish you the best though.
Yeah, but you're saying I don't want this to be over, is what you're saying. They're saying, okay, look, let's
It's
let
been
bygones
over
be
for me,
bygones.
Missing Mod. It's been over for me. You go to my channel, I don't mention you guys at all unless you guys make a video about me.
Yeah.
Never, not once. I don't mention you guys at all.
You know what? You know when that would be true, Lupin? It would have
Never.
been. You would have been able to make that as a case when you did your whole final address to Missing Mod. If you actually stayed true to your word there, and you left Missing Mod alone, and you didn't bother her anymore, and you didn't bother anybody in this community anymore, and you just,
Aiden,
did the thing that's seemingly impossible for you and actually follow through with your word.
Aiden, what did I miss? Lupin said he was done with Missing Mod before this?
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm the worst at keeping up with stuff.
No, this is old. This
I
is
didn't
old
even know
sad
that.
stuff. No, it's the first short on his channel. If you go check it out, it's the final address to Missing Mod from like 4 months ago or something like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He's
Fake
done
news.
with us.
Fake
He's
news.
done with us though. This is it. This is it, Mark.
Me, and then I do a response, which is very rare. The majority of my videos have all been like Bible studies and just like on topic discussions.
Yeah, but when you come in the room, you do this kind of stuff, and it's really confrontational because
Yeah.
people take it personal, right? Like he's taking it like you.
I mean, I was just gonna say good on Missing Mod for at least holding his feet to the fire in these aspects, because she's absolutely speaking truth to power here. He's not
Lupin,
coming in here with good intentions. He's coming in here to stir shit up.
But she's enabling that. Even though she's putting on this facade of, oh, please don't do this. She doesn't take that to the point of actually doing something about it. Like, if you own a YouTube channel and somebody is harassing your channel, harassing your friends, talking mad shit about them, you can block them. You can kick them out of the room. You can stand up for your friends. But no, all she wants to do is point out, oh, you do this all the time. Well, you're letting him do it.
I mean, I think she has this idea in her head, though, that, like, she's gonna be able to make things work out between them, and that's never happened, Missing Mod. You've tried that so many times at this point, and it's never once worked out. So, what are you doing at this point? You can only do that so many times, I would imagine, before you finally realize that nothing is ever going to come of it.
Yep.
You're literally saying, I don't want to be your friend. And it's like, well, I'm not trying to be your friend. I'm trying to say, okay, let's let bygones be bygones. Let's be nice to each other when we see each other. Let's just not talk crap is basically all they want. And I'm not saying that they're perfect, because it's certainly not, it's two-sided.
Yeah, exactly. It's a reciprocation kind of thing. I can see that. Yeah, no, I won't talk about them. I'm not talking mess about them.
I've been reaching out the hand of peace. Will you not accept it?
No, I understand that you want to say that, but Chuck, as well as I do, there's stories in the Bibles about a woman taking in a snake, and then she.
What does Chuck trying to have an amicable relationship with Lupin have to do with stories in the Bible about women taking up snakes?
Well,
Chapter and verse, Lupin. What are you talking about?
Well, you could hear him like because he's like literally just trying to cobble all of this bullshit together on the fly right now.
Oh, grasping at straws. Gotcha.
Yeah, basically.
Brings the snake back to a recovery point, and the snake is getting back, and then the snake bites her, and she goes, "Oh,
wait,
what? What?
I know this story. Okay, this is
what was that?
This is like it's not from scripture. It's not from the Bible. It's gosh, I don't know what it's called. a parable, a cautionary tale, something or another. But yeah, it's like there was a woman that saved a snake from a fire and was nursing it back to health, and it bit her, and she's like, "Why'd you bite me?" And the snake said, "I'm a snake." Like, but
Yeah, we
that's
never hear about that
not
until
a Bible story, Lupin. So what?
Yeah, I don't remember that
It's
being in
not.
the Bible at any point. But hey,
Look it up. Google it. It's I don't remember what it's called, but it's like
it's
the
a parable of some sort.
here. I'll look it up. I'll go ahead and play, and I'll look it up and cut in when I find it.
Oh, how could you? How could
What
you?
about when Jesus said, "Love your neighbor as yourself"?
Okay, I don't deal with what would Jesus have said. I'm not Jesus. I'm sorry.
Oh, so you don't follow Jesus' teaching.
I try to, but I'm not perfect.
So you don't love your neighbor as
What an
yourself.
easy excuse! What an easy excuse for lazy quote unquote Christians to try and act like they can just do whatever they want because I'm not perfect. Yeah, you're not. Your religion already acknowledges that you're not perfect, but you're supposed to strive to be as close to that as possible. That's kind of the goal.
I mean, he kind of said, "Be ye holy as I am holy." That's a tall order, but yeah, it's what we strive for. But I did find the story. It's certainly not from scripture. The story is about a woman who saved a snake and they got bitten. It's often used as a fable or moral lesson, or like I said, a cautionary tale. It's a tale that appears in various cultures, each with its own version, but the core message remains consistent. And here's the common rendition of the story. A kind hearted woman finds a snake frozen in the snow. Feeling compassion for the creature, she decides to save its life, taking it home and warming it by the fire. As the snake revives from the brink of death, it suddenly bites the woman. Shocked, the woman asks the snake why it bit her, despite her kindness in saving its life. The snake replies, "You knew what? You knew I was a snake when you picked me up." And that's the story. It's not a Bible story. The moral of the story um, would be to emphasize that the fundamental nature of something or someone doesn't change, despite the offering of an olive branch like Chuck did with Lupin. It's like, hey, why don't you let bygones be bygones, like Missing Mod said, and we can move on from here and establish a new friendship. Well, yeah, that would work with a human being, but when you're talking to someone like Lupin, you can't expect him to fundamentally change his nature and accept that olive branch because Lupin Tupin takes a poopin', and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, I mean, yet again, he's inadvertently describing himself here. They tend to do that a lot, don't they?
Projection is such a commonality with Hovenites. It's like an epidemic with them.
It seems to be.
I do.
I quite like some of my neighbors. I do quite fancy some of them, Father Charles. But probably
To be
not.
honest, I don't even know most of my neighbors' names.
Father Charles, how are you anyway? And what have you been up to?
Trying to love my neighbor, Claude.
You survived the eclipse, Father Charles?
Yes.
You didn't get taken away?
I survived.
Uh-oh. It's not me, is it?
Nah, he's breaking up. Unless I'm breaking up too.
You got raptured.
Yeah, look at that. Ah, you guys spoke too soon. No.
He went before you, Lupin?
I know, right? That's what I was gonna say. I was like, oh man, maybe.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know if you guys caught it, but Lupin saying you guys spoke too soon was definitely in reference to the obvious fact that we have proclaimed that the eclipse was not going to be the rapture, nor was it. Oh, we spoke too soon because Father Chuck has internet connectivity issues. Ha ha ha! So funny, Lupin. So funny. Just go ahead and admit you guys were wrong about the rapture. You guys were wrong about the eclipse. Quit being butthurt about it and act like adults.
Just
People
move.
make mistakes. It's okay.
Just move on with your life, honestly.
Right? Hey, Brianna.
Yeah, maybe I should have accepted his friend request.
He says hi.
Gotta be a brat. Okay, you guys want to continue the video?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
I already proved my
Me
point,
either.
though.
Whatever.
Personally, I think it's just better we just stay away from each other.
Which is why you proceeded to go and
You're
make a
honest about it.
stream
Don't
about
take shots
this.
at each
You know
other
what?
either, right?
You know what I
'Cause
find hilarious? Is that he says we should just stay away from each other here, and he could have easily went and done that. Like, he could have followed through with that by not doing a stream the way that he did.
No,
but no, he
just
had
like
to.
almost immediately followed up with a stream, completely misrepresenting the entire conversation and making himself out to be like the righteous howler.
Yeah, the righteous howler, the leader of the pack.
Right?
That doesn't make sense.
By drinking beer? They call that shots?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, everyone knows my shots are with vodka, but
Oh,
No, everybody did not know that. I didn't know that was common knowledge. I actually just figured that out. Lupin likes
Maybe
vodka.
the people at your
Okay.
AA meeting know that is common knowledge. I'm joking, obviously.
I get it. Lupin seems to be an alcoholic. He's always slurring his words on these streams, and I don't think that's how he would talk sober, just because I've heard people talking sober and slurred, and it's a distinct difference. And Lupin is constantly slurring, and it's like if you drink a fifth of vodka and then just hit the go live button. And then it's like, hey, everybody's stupid but me. You're gonna get raptured and you're dumb. I'm not
sounds
good at a
familiar
Lupin
for some reason.
impersonation. I'm really not good at that.
That's all
but
right.
that's
Not everyone can be the righteous howler, Mark. That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah. I play Mortal Kombat and I'm really not that good at it, but
Yeah, that's the part we don't get to hear.
Oh.
What about Captain Morgan?
Shots of beer. Ugh.
yeah, shots. Exactly, shots of beer. Ugh.
He totally just said sharts of beer. He did. I'm gonna go back and play him saying sharts of beer again, just because I think that's funny. But
I already proved my
Me
point,
either.
though.
Okay.
Personally, I think it's just better we just stay away from each other.
What the fuck?
What is your
At least
problem?
you're honest about it, but don't take shots at each other either, right? Because that doesn't make sense.
By drinking beer? They call that shots?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, well, everyone knows my shots are with vodka, but
Oh,
here it
what
comes.
about Captain Morgan?
Shots of beer. Ugh.
yeah, shots. Exactly,
was
shots of
shart-
beer. Ugh.
Sharts of exactly
Sharts of beer.
No,
Gangster
it's
Ghost was
Captain
right. It was
Jack.
Captain Morgan. It was Captain Morgan. I messed up on that.
I thought that was a joke. See,
It was a little bit, but I thought he got it wrong. But no, I was like, no way, Captain Morgan is a rum. Yeah,
sorry, Father Chuck.
hell no. With a capital H, capital E, capital double L.
Double L.
Because he's a snake.
Capital H, capital E, capital double L. That spells hella lol.
Meanwhile,
No.
Lupin's mom comes in. Have you drank enough water yet, sweetie? Shut up, bitch!
Ma! The meatloaf! Ma!
He's a snake.
What?
Who eats a lot of cake? Oh,
Who should get baked? Who should get baked?
Just drop it. You see how mean that is?
Now that you're too loud.
Your TV's turning on all the time, and I don't say anything.
No one tell him that Chuck's here.
I'm hissing. Called him out a long time ago.
Okay.
Ever since he went on Ken Hovind show, I could tell that dude was a snake. Present one face to one sense, one group or the other. Go to your own little area, and then present a whole different face. Snake behavior.
I'm not going to listen to you
Negative.
call Father
Dad,
Charles
you're
a
talking
snake,
about.
Lupin. I'm not going to listen to you call Father Charles a snake. That's a disgraceful thing to say.
Who's that? Is that somebody talking live right now?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I don't care what you listen to.
Well, I think you're ignorant, and you calling Father Charles a snake is disgusting.
Okay, that's cool.
You know, you're just a revolting creature.
Oh, terrible.
You are.
Yeah, I disagreed with you. Yeah, I am.
That's good. Good to recognize your own weaknesses.
Yep.
Piece of crap.
Well, Chuck did just hiss, though. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I was just being a snake.
You're not
That's
a snake, Father Charles. You're a good man. And you have a degree of intelligence, too, which is quite a change.
Well, thank you, Claude.
See, that's if you just
So Claude he gets to insult and do all that kind of stuff, but just me,
Well,
just
you started it. You started it, you clown.
Well, this was a video.
You started
We're watching the stream from the other day, though.
That's
so
fine.
he wasn't saying it right now.
No, he's still. That's what he's calling Father Charles. That's what he's called him. He hasn't said that was wrong. So no, I'm
Is that
just
a bird in your
reciprocating.
Yeah, here.
that is a bird. That is a bird in my mic. Yeah, it's having a better conversation than anything you get from Claude, but.
And I let you.
You're so clever.
I let you.
Yeah, it's
talk
for the
crap.
birds.
I let you talk crap. We were just listening to it.
You certainly did.
Okay, do we even want to finish this?
And
Claude,
Claude,
I was there.
I asked Lupin to bury the hatchet and let us be friends, and he refuses.
No, that's
Do you see how we've already established? Do you see how this is a manipulation tactic? Like we've already we've already established that yes, that did happen. Now you keep bringing it up to try and twerk people into some certain way. I just want everybody to know this is a.
So let me get this straight, because